Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes, amazing! We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, man. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode number 155 and we're your hosts Matt
I'm Jake.
here to give you all the talking points about Matchday 18 in Serie A.
For the last time this year.
There's no big announcement, we're not quitting the pod, of course we'll be here throughout 2025 and we'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a happy new year and we hope you're listening to us while you're getting ready for New Year's Eve. So ladies, if you're doing your makeup right now, or gentlemen, if you're shaving your balls, I do hope you're listening to us as the night progresses before you get all fucked up.
Let us know some of the weird situations that you've been in your life when you had our podcast on.
Yes.
Like if you've, I don't know, if you know, in the bathroom having a tough one, or just falling asleep and waking up in the middle of the night to a random episode that we recorded 3 years ago playing on YouTube, something like that.
Or if you're making love to your wife and you've got one of our episodes queued and you're listening to a love-making Barry White playlist and then our voices come on, let us know. We love being with you guys everywhere you go. So let us know where's the weirdest places that you've taken us.
Fantastic. Our goal of the week.
Dybala,
hands down,
uncontested.
hands down.
Because every time a goal is scored against Milan, it's either the shittiest, most hilarious goal ever, or it's the best goal I've ever seen in my life. And to be honest, when it comes to my personal taste, this is my favorite goal of the season. I think it's goal of the season so far.
It was amazing. Dovbik's little flick. Little, wasn't very little.
Humongous flick.
Humongous flick, exactly. And then Dybala's volley, perfect. Mike Maignan rooted to the spot. Nothing Milan could do about it. They defended pretty flawlessly.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a moment of beautiful improvisation.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know Dovbik had this in his game.
So at Girona, he was quite a deep-lying striker, kind of in the same way that Milan like to utilize their strikers in Tammy Abraham, Morata, Giroud back in the day as well. So he definitely has that up his arsenal, or up his sleeve rather, at his arsenal.
Or at his Roma.
Or up his Roma. It's good I draw comparison to the way that Ranieri is utilising Dovbik and Dybala to the way that Mourinho used to utilise Lukaku and Dybala. Because with those strengths that Dovbik has with his back towards goal and Dybala being like that 9.5 that is playing next to him, he could set him up brilliantly, and in turn, obviously, with Dovbik also being a great finisher, Dybala could set him up as well. So those are their two biggest talents, as close to goal as possible, essentially.
Yeah, that's what he needed. You're right. Someone to hold the ball up for him, Dybala. And Dovbik is, in fact, the perfect player to do so. And with Dybala, it's always a matter of fitness. And Ranieri has alluded to this as well. He said Mourinho said it right. You know, he said it best. If Dybala can stay fit, this Roma side are completely different.
Absolutely, 100%. No one else could strike a volley like that in that team. So yeah, brilliant goal. If there was one honourable mention that I would give it to, it's Dominguez of Bologna. His first goal. They went on to score his second later on that game, but the first one was delicious. Some great work by Castro to spot him, very mature. But then the way that he beat his man and just slotted it calmly into the bottom near corner. I'm just reminding myself, Nico Paz had a brilliant goal as well.
Well-placed, low shot into the far post from a very weird angle. And Ricci had a similar one as well. Very good goal.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, some honourable mentions there for all of you as well. But if you guys are new here, do make sure to engage with us on our social media accounts. We're on Insta, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, so drop us a follow over there. YouTube is our latest project. We do need more subscriptions. We're on 1,000. Let's try make it 2,000 kind of thing. And do rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcast, be it Spotify, be it Apple, be it Google. Do drop us a 5-star rating over there. It helps us a lot. And if you like us even more and you want to take it a step further and you want to help us grow the podcast, we're on Patreon. It's $3.99 a month, and we would appreciate your support over there. You'll also be added to the latest group chat in Serie A history, where you learn something new about calcio every single day.
Yes, and you will enter the opportunity to join our fantasy football league. If you join now, you could use this season kind of to experiment and to prepare you for next season, because the winner of our fantasy football league will get a kit of their choice, any kit.
Choice.
Yeah.
We'll do a salary cap.
We will, of course.
There's no way they could get a match-worn Kalulu.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want this one, and they link like a match-worn Maldini Champions League winner kit. Yeah, and right now, Joey D is leading the race to win the kit. Tommaso Zobbega, his team name this week. Zop, of course, for those of you who don't know, translates to Dick in Maltese.
Yeah, so thank you for allowing us to speak our native tongue, Joey D. I don't know quite how you figured out that Zop means cock in Maltese, probably Tresco swearing in Maltese on the group
chat. That's probably it.
Yeah.
But fantastic team name, and he's still in the lead.
And Pieter's
in third, very close to him, while Renegades is in second, Lewis over there.
Lewis, who is, coincidentally,
our patron of the week for giving us a bit of information on Conceição and his days at Porto. Coincidentally, of course, as you can see from this episode cover, Fonseca and Conceição were both at Porto, so he managed to draw some parallels for us between the managers and to explain to us what Milan are really in for, which we will be sharing with you later on in this episode.
Exactly, and Alan with the Dovbik assist over there.
Always
remembering that there is a Porto fan, and obviously remembering that Fonseca was also at Porto, so asking the right questions at the right time. What a beautiful set of remarkable people we have on our group chat, man. We love you all so much, guys, and we look forward to anyone else that wants to join, not to be cringe, but the family or the group chat.
The spotheads.
The spotheads. Exactly. We'll be doing things in the same manner we did them last week, so new format. However, we are going to include the talking points within the rundown and then take some more time to discuss the listener questions, because we have been receiving more listener questions.
That will be 50% of this episode, I believe, the listener questions. The rundown will take our time with it, and we've got many talking points like Dominguez and Maldini.
Of course, Fonseca and Conceição, Genoa, and
Bologna,
what they've been doing with Vieira. So let's get into it, bro. Let's start off with game number 1.
We can start off with Bocchetti's Monza debut, which saw him losing 2-1 to Parma, and it actually started off quite well for Bocchetti and his men. They dominated the first half. In fact, they pressed high and they saw 2 goals disallowed. They failed to capitalize on their early control. Maldini, in the opening 2 minutes, had 3 massive misses. He missed a one-on-one.
Super unlucky.
Tried to chip the keeper later on, dinked the crossbar, got the rebound, tried to backheel the rebound in. He beat the goalkeeper, but it was cleared off the line. Extremely unlucky. Extremely unlucky. He's only on 1 goal this season. So I want to talk to you a little bit about him and where he stands in his career at the moment.
It's an interesting one with Daniel Maldini, because if you look just over a month ago, he got his first call up to the Azzurri, and he had high praise, obviously, from Spalletti, who said he has a beautiful way of playing. He holds his own in tackles. He knows how to get his nose in front of defenders. We don't quite have a player like him in the squad, so it's important to call him up and to help him progress. Gazzetta had a headline as well just over a month ago saying everyone wants Maldini, where they said that Milan want him, Juve want him, Atalanta, Fiorentina and even Inter, saying that his 12 million release clause is a joke and that Milan obviously have a 50% sell-on clause, so they're the favourites to get him back. But since then, since all of this noise, he struggled. He only has 1 goal and 1 assist in 16 matches. He was also suspended a few games ago for an accumulation of yellow cards. Obviously, he's in a struggling team that is now prioritizing survival, which isn't always great for a young man, because for a young man he needs someone to progress. And at times like this, when they just want to survive, they think of how are we going to get quick wins. It'll teach Maldini how to win games, and how to win them dirty. But for his progress, playing intricate and beautiful football, it might stall that quite significantly.
And it is important to mention as well that he has, at most in his career, only ever started 4 games in a full season. Whereas this season, he's on his 13th start. So this is his first real season as one of the main acts of a football team. When you come into a game off the bench, there's a lot less pressure on you, especially when you're an up-and-coming star. You're on loan from Milan, you know. There's a bit of pressure because you're on loan to perform, but I feel like he was doing quite well, scoring against Milan, against Inter, of course, having a few minutes to kind of really show what he's got. But now, it's a completely different playing field. For example, last season, he had 263 minutes played at Empoli and 328 minutes played at Monza. This season, he's on 1,053 minutes played for Monza. In fact, last year for Monza, he had 4 goals and 1 assist, whereas this year he's only on 1 goal, but he's got 5 yellow cards. And that kind of alludes to what you were saying, that he's being told to hustle, probably, to win those dirty fouls, to stop the attacks, you know, to nip the attack at the butt.
Which front. You see players like Lucca, you see that he has that side in him from playing in Serie B and playing with the smaller teams. It's actually a great quality to have.
Of course. It is, totally. I think when you look at Daniel Maldini, when you watch him play, you can tell that he has improved his game a lot and that he's definitely a talent and he deserves all the attraction he has from the big teams. For example, Atalanta have him on their radar. He'd be a beast over there. We've seen what they did with CDK. They could probably get something similar out of Maldini, because he is technically very, very underrated. People often undermine Maldini's ability because of the weight of his family name. But he is a very hot talent, and it's been spoken of by his teammates as well.
And it shows, because every time Monza want to create something, they're playing the ball to Daniel Maldini.
Exactly, yes.
Especially when Mota's out of the side. That's a lot of pressure on him now. Like you said, it's the first time that he has pressure. It's the first time that when you come in as a substitute in the 75th minute when your team need a goal, you don't play to the team's tactics, strengths or whatever. You play to your best ability. The manager brings you on to showcase for you to get a goal, not to play in this 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-2-1 system where you have to link in this particular way with the player and stray wide at that moment. Daniel Maldini now has these growing pains where he needs to fit into the manager's system, and he just started doing that. Then there was the disruption, and now he needs to start doing that for Bocchetti.
And Bocchetti deployed him as a false 9 from the get-go, a position that he doesn't really play. So you can see that this game, for example, having 3 big misses in his first start as a false 9 would be extremely would weigh heavily on his confidence, I think. But I can't help but feel like a goal is coming from Maldini. You know, he's playing too well to not be scoring.
It has to be.
He's getting close every game.
Hopefully some wins for Monza are coming, because that's certainly not helping his case. The team needs some confidence. I also, it's interesting that Bocchetti was so sought after, by the way, because I was looking at his record, and like when he took over Verona, he had 6 losses in 6 games. And Monza were like, give us some of that. we need to survive relegation.
Apparently his leadership skills are very valued. He was Tudor's understudy and assistant coach as well at Verona, so maybe they wanted to keep some of that. But yeah, apparently he's an up-and-coming coach. He's the youngest coach to ever coach in Serie A.
38 years old.
But he was
of course
35 at the time.
Exactly. Because Palladino's right around about that age. He's nearing 40, if I'm not mistaken, Palladino.
So yeah, anyway, in Parma Monza, of course, they went into the break at 0-0. And Pecchia, Parma's manager, of course, introduced Boni and Valeri in the second half and had a bit of a tactical shift, which saw eventually the pressure piling on Monza and Pablo Mari being sent off in the 54th minute. Eventually, Parma did take the lead. Monza went on to equalize late on. And then in the 98th minute, of course, Parma retook the lead in a very dramatic moment.
Yeah, the Valenti header, right?
Exactly.
It was actually a good move that Monza had when Pereira scored unmarked at the far post. Obviously, Juric making that
he got the flick, right? Juric.
I don't know if he got a flick, but he definitely dragged the defender along with him to the near post. But of course, Pereira coming in well at the far post over there. But the set piece in the 98th minute for Parma was a huge win for them, a big win that they needed, and a big kick in the teeth for Bocchetti on his debut over there.
Yeah.
And this is, in fact, the first match between Parma and Monza in Serie A. In Serie B, considering Serie B, Parma have remained unbeaten in their last 6 matches against Monza, where they won 1 and drew 5. And Monza's last victory versus Parma dates to 24th March 1985.
Poof.
Yeah, so
damn, I was minus 10. Kevin Martins came on well, setting up that goal. He came on in the 84th minute. He's only 19 years old. And if I'm not mistaken, no, he has featured for the... No, that's Primavera, yes. This was his first league appearance in Serie A.
For Kevin Martins. Amazing.
Yes.
Good luck, Kevin.
Yes. He did very well. His first assist, sorry, not his first appearance.
Yeah.
Yes, because he appeared, of course, against Napoli. But yes, I was impressed by the way Monza started this game. I think that by the end of it, Pecchia was outcoached. It's difficult, Bocchetti was outcoached by Pecchia. I think that it's difficult to assess because of the red card, but I feel like the red card was kind of forced upon him, you know. I mean, Parma were overwhelming Monza in the second half.
No, and I mean, I guess Parma did what they had to do, and I think that's the good thing about having... Firstly, I feel like Parma have a deeper squad, a more energetic squad, and just overall they have a better squad than Monza. And I think they played to their strengths, and I think they were frustrating Monza throughout the game. For Mari to get a double yellow card and off in the 54th minute, it gave them a massive boost. And to be honest, I was really, really pleasantly surprised by Monza. You said he was outcoached. I'm not too sure, because Monza almost got away with a draw if it weren't for a 98-minute equalizer through a set piece. So I think actually Monza did a very good job with a man down to get back into the game after going down to the penalty that Hernani slotted in. But of course, at the end of the day, there are different things you can do to win games, and sometimes you're not going to win a game cleanly. Being good at set pieces is huge. Look at Inter, for example. Every other set piece that they have, they pretty much score it. Parma over here, now okay, they don't score set pieces every game, but it was a training ground routine, a set piece routine, that got them the winner in the 98th minute. And that's what you get through continuity. Having the same coach that got you up from Serie B to Serie A, and staying loyal to Pecchia throughout Serie A, even through his struggles.
Absolutely, yes, and Mihala can definitely take those corners very well and whips them in really well. So yes, very good points, bro. Credit to Monza, who looked by far the better team in the first half.
Yeah.
I like the way Pecchia adjusted, but it's true that they did have a bit of fortune, of course, to get the lead in the 98th minute.
Absolutely.
But yes, the red card always makes it difficult to assess, but they did look better than how they looked under Nesta in recent years. Shout out to Suzuki, of course, for keeping Parma in the match, as always. And also, there was a hilarious moment where the referee awarded a penalty for Parma. He hadn't yet awarded the penalty for Parma, actually. He was going to refer to VAR. And Benedicek, as the referee started running to the VAR monitor, thought he got the go-ahead to take the penalty.
Yeah.
So he stepped up and just smacked it top corner, and the crowd starts cheering, and the referee's running to the VAR monitor while this is happening, and he's looking around like, what the hell happened?
Because he whistled to announce that he's going to go check the monitor, and the other guy was so locked in, Benedicek, man.
He just fucking blasted the top bin, so the keeper dived and everything.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I think that Turati is an exciting goalkeeper, but also a weakness in this Monza team, bro.
Now, he has the same problem, and it is dealing with crosses.
His 6-yard box, man.
He's non-existent when it comes to crosses. He's glued to his line, and he was like that at Frosinone.
It's true. Yes, totally, 100%.
Deep crosses into the box are what fuck him all the time.
Like that last goal. He didn't command his area at all. You have to do better.
He was glued to his line.
Why are you glued to your line on a corner?
Yeah. But he's an excellent shot stopper, but he needs to get off that fucking line, man.
Yes, and
he's not an imposing figure. He doesn't command his area at all.
Exactly. Let's remember that he is still very young. He's 23 years old, which for a goalkeeper means he's like 12.
Literally.
So, yeah, long career ahead of him. Good to see him getting regular game time. But, with Cranio on the bench, especially, man. Cranio
doesn't exist anymore.
Cranio was so good at Cagliari.
Who?
Cranio, you don't remember Cranio?
It doesn't exist anymore, bro.
Yeah.
He was at Monza, he was benched by Di Gregorio, then he went to Sassuolo, he was benched by Consigli. Now he's being benched by Turati.
Yeah.
It's like, when's he gonna get his moment, man?
Yeah.
But, anyway.
But yes, I think a solid pair of gloves might be a good solution for this Monza team who keep conceding similar goals and they're dead last now, yes. But we'll see how this develops under Bocchetti. We had Empoli 1, Genoa 2. As well. In this game, Badelli opened the scoring, followed by a goal from Ecoban, while Esposito, Sebastiano, of course, of the 24 brothers, netted a consolation goal, but missed a golden opportunity to equalize when it was 1-0 through a penalty, which was saved by Leali, who had this to say about the penalty save.
I don't care. So all the people who don't know you don't care. The woman you want doesn't care. You can't go up to a chick at a bar and say, you know what?
He looks like Andrew Tate.
That's what that
He looks like Andrew Tate.
That's what that is.
Look him up.
Put out the photo of Leali. Oh my god, he does look like
He looks like Andrew Tate.
He looks like Andrew Tate as fuck, bro.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It is, and I couldn't unsee it once I saw it. But what a save that was on Esposito's penalty. He's been playing really well, Leali, man.
He has. I'm enjoying Leali in goal.
Of course, it was Vasquez who gave away the penalty with a reckless sliding tackle. Some things never change, and it was a very strong hand by Leali.
Yeah.
Genoa won this game, played a 4-3-3, classic Vieira formation. It allowed them to dominate the midfield. They distributed the ball effectively. They took control, quick transitions to exploit Empoli's defensive vulnerabilities. Two very well executed goals here. Very compact, very limiting when it comes to what the opponent can actually get. I know Empoli aren't great at creating chances, but they limited them quite a lot, man. No, Colombo especially was nowhere to be seen.
I mean, Empoli have never been a team that scores in great volumes, but they're good at winning games. They're good at getting winning 1-0, for example. Firstly, I just want to mention that Leali, don't forget that he's only starting because Gollini is out injured. A sign of, I think he's earned his spot.
Yeah, totally. I would
think he's
go
been
ahead
much
with him.
better than
Gollini. Agreed.
With that being said, I think an area where Genoa really, really improved, and I say this with sorrow because I love Gilardino and I love what he was doing for this team, and I prefer the way that they were playing under Gilardino. It's a system that attracts me more. But offensively, it is way more streamlined. It's way more have two wingers playing wide, have the striker that's good with his back towards goal and good front facing the goal, and having that attacking midfielder making the late runs into the box. It's a way more simpler 4-3-3 system, which is very balanced but slightly more offensive. That helps Genoa play more to their strengths. And I think, like we said last episode, Vitinha plays more to his strengths over there. I think Miretti
I was going to mention
in the system as well. I think Pinamonti was better off in the other system.
But I'm not so sure, because with the wingers being more involved, we might see Pinamonti getting on the score sheet more. And he has been scoring, in fact.
He has been scoring. I think he had more goals under Gilardino, however. Yeah. And Gilardino was a big fan of him. He requested Pinamonti in the team. But
and Balotelli too.
And Balotelli, who's on his way out, apparently.
Of course he is. Vieira, no matter what he says, it's clear that he doesn't bloody like him. I mean, it was clear to me from that moment when Genoa had a free kick from outside the box in the 90th minute against Milan. Perfect Balotelli situation. Perfect. If Balotelli was brought on, he would have scored that 100%, because Balotelli's dead ball shots, his free kick taking ability is very good.
Uh-huh.
Because the talent is undeniable. It's his fitness, his ability, his movement,
But
his shape. At that ball, there's nothing you can do. It's just his talent purely on display. And Vieira didn't bring him.
I had 2 days before that, I saw on his Instagram him shirtless taking free kicks, like just to prove to people that he's still in shape, kind of thing. But for Vieira, bro, that is 2 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss. He's drawn to Cagliari, he beat Udinese, drew to Torino, drew to Milan, lost to Napoli, and now beat Empoli.
Pretty impressive.
That's 6 goals in favour, 4 goals against. The notable changes that he made to the side, obviously, is the change to the 4 at the back formation. He had experimented with a 4-5-1, a 4-1-4-1, but he seems to have stuck to this 4-2-3-1 formation that sometimes looks a bit more like a 4-3-3 formation. They're tighter defensively, yet in a funny way, they seem to attack more fluidly.
They break with more purpose. I
Exactly,
feel,
quite counter-attacking in that sense, and very vertical play. And also, not to mention that it is brighter times for Genoa overall, because one thing that I'd mentioned, this happened when we were in Romania. Genoa were bought by Dan Sucu, or Suciu, who is a Romanian entrepreneur, and they were acquired for 45 million for the vast majority of the club. It's like a 77% of the club for 45 million. So obviously they were close to liquidation, Genoa.
Bring back Dragusin.
Bring back Radu Dragusin. So it is a positive spell that Genoa are going through right now. A win against Empoli is highly, highly impressive. And his win against Udinese as well. But Empoli, let's not disregard them, because they were having they still are having an excellent season.
Yes, and of course Fazzini's been out injured, and now he's back, and he actually came on in the second half, and he was dominant, man. Like he never left, like he never stopped playing. Yeah. Like he was never interrupted.
He'll leave in January.
He's
Fazzini.
so good.
I'm certain he'll leave in January.
He's heavily linked to Fiorentina.
I think I mentioned to Lazio as well. Lazio like him. Of course they like him. He's Italian.
Yeah, and blonde.
Exactly. But he's a great talent, but it's good to see Empoli have been holding their own without him, and they have the talent to do it without him. Keep in mind, they have Solbakken on the bench, who they really haven't been utilising. Sebastiano, again, I know he missed the penalty, but great save by Leali. But he keeps on showing us. Now he scored a header in this game. Is there something this guy can't do?
He's got many tricks up his sleeve. Eh? He's very adaptable in different situations. Like if he's on the edge of the area, he can dribble a man and put it top bins. If he's in a position where he can't shoot and he doesn't have support, he'll draw the foul and win the penalty.
Yeah.
He's very intelligent as a striker, and his skill set is very vast.
Yeah, he could really hit it off with these teams, just being a striker in maybe a mid-tier to relegation battling team. He could really establish himself. When it comes to his future at Inter, I think right now he'll be looking at competing for a 4th spot with Correa. I think that's where he would be. He has quite a similar profile to Correa in that sense, but I think his whole point of being out on loan for the majority of his career is that he doesn't end up rotting on the bench at Inter, even though with all the competitions that they're in, he'll certainly find playing time. And it would be good for Inter to get Correa off their books and bring in someone homegrown for him. But alas, I don't think that's what
honestly,
the
I'd rather
wants.
have Esposito on my bench than the likes of Taremi, Arnautovic, and maybe Taremi, no, because
Taremi's
of
good.
course he's good, and he hasn't quite hit the ground running, but it's clear to see that he's good. But when it comes to the average age of Inter's players, having a splash of youth might be a bit
100%.
a bit comforting for them.
100%.
Yeah, we have a question about that actually, so stay tuned.
Exactly. Just for a little bit to glitter a bit of a stat on this game, Empoli have won only one of their last 7 home matches against Genoa in Serie A. They drew 4 and lost 2. And Genoa are unbeaten in their last 9 matches against Empoli in Serie A. So,
bogey team.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Also, not to mention, Colombo is a completely different player away from home. He scores away from home, then he's at home and he drops a stinker.
It's true.
I don't get it.
It's true.
But yeah. Inter spanked Cagliari 3-0 away from home. The first half was goalless and I had to wait till the 53rd minute to finally crack a very stubborn Cagliari. And it was Bastoni who scored with a looping header that looked unintentional. I believe he said it was unintentional.
They're like, why didn't you celebrate, man? It's because you want to go to City, you want to go to Chelsea, you want to go to... He was like, no, I scored, man. And like, well,
that was a cross, man.
Like, do you want more money? He was like, no, I just want to stay here, man. I'm good here.
Lautaro Martinez ended his goal drought by volleying in.
After missing two
sitters in the 71st minute. This was his first goal since November 3rd.
My God.
Yeah.
And then when he scored on November 3rd, it's like finally he scored.
Exactly.
He hasn't scored. Yeah. Whatever he scores, it's finally at this point.
But he definitely needed that. And he has looked a little bit better when it comes to his condition on the pitch. However, he's so wasteful.
He is incredibly wasteful. His first miss, bro, he skied it. He was, 2 yards out, 3 yards out. Yeah. He has to score that. If he wants to be regarded, and he's a top scorer, he's the capocannoniere from last season. And I remember when we started talking about the greatest strikers in Serie A at the moment, and we don't mention Lautaro, Inter fans message us all the time. What about Lautaro? It's because he goes through these spells where he can't put the ball in the back of the net, and two absolute sitters. One, he had all the time in the world to strike it on the half volley after taking a touch, and it's like, put that in the back of the net, Jesus Christ. And then the other one, he's 2 yards out, 3 yards out, and he absolutely skied it later on into the box at the far post. Frustrating. But then he gets brilliant cross by Barella, put him on a plate, and he managed to get a goal.
He did.
That gives him confidence, eh?
I wonder if he will return to scoring pretty much week in, week out now. Because sometimes it's a switch now.
Yeah, but Inter, it doesn't matter because Inter have so many bloody weapons,
and
bro. So many
avenues,
weapons.
right?
Yeah.
Now listen to this, by the way. Wait, so then of course the winning penalty, not the winning penalty, the final goal was a penalty.
Nail in the coffin.
Was won by Thuram. Post Malone has a song called White Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
You should make one called Black Messi, and it's about Thuram, because the way he was mazing through those defenders was absolutely incredible. And then eventually they tripped him, and Çalhanoğlu stepped up and took the penalty and scored, of course, as he usually does.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just can't take the ball off Thuram.
You can't take the ball off.
I remember when they spanked Atalanta 4-0. He was bodying Gym City like Gym City couldn't do anything about him. Their own was constantly a mile away from him. I don't think he wanted to get anywhere near him. What a spectacular Thuram is. Spectacular. Sometimes he's greedy. If he can get rid of that completely, man, we're talking about a guy that can join the biggest teams.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating that Milan didn't get their hands on him. They were so close.
He had agreed everything with Milan.
Except for the wage.
Yeah, and then it was hijacked as always, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In typical Milan fashion, and you look over to United, you see another transfer target of Milan and Zirkzee getting booed off and crying 30 minutes into the game.
Not booed off. They were cheering. They were so happy he got off the pitch.
Really?
They weren't booing him. They were like, he got off. I was like, yeah!
He didn't even stick around. He wore his jacket and walked down the tunnel.
No shit, they're disrespecting him.
Yeah, he's out in January. Just when they thought I was in. It's the opposite. Listen to the stat, bro.
Okay.
5 consecutive away clean sheets for Inter. A milestone not reached since the mid-1960s.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
5 clean sheets.
In a row, away clean sheets.
Away clean sheets.
Yeah. They had a shaky start when it comes to their defense, especially, and conceding goals. But it seems that now they've picked up their momentum and they're back. They're back, bro. They're rolling.
They're 45 goals scored. 15 goals conceded. They have the most goals scored and I believe the fewest goals conceded. Yeah.
Oof.
Fewest goals conceded along with Fiorentina, Juve. Exactly. No, sorry. Napoli have the fewest goal conceded with 12. So they're in second essential. But 45 goals scored, 15 conceded is mental. Of course, they are only 1 point behind Napoli and Atalanta, who are tied first. But they have that game in hand against Fiorentina, which to me, they will win. They will win and they'll go top. And they'll go top and they'll be 2 points ahead of Atalanta and Napoli. And they'll start, man. They'll start trying to build that gap. Because that's what they do.
I think this is the best Inter team I've ever seen.
For the past
20
years. But this Inter, Simone Inzaghi's Inter.
Inzaghi's Inter, but even Look how good they were with Lukaku. I think they're even better with Thuram.
Yes. I
Lukaku was unplayable, don't get me wrong, no disrespect to him. But the fact that Lautaro is misfiring so heavily, Lukaku had prime Lautaro playing well week in, week out. It's crazy that with Lautaro, again, playing so poorly, they're still destroying everyone, man.
Yeah. No, but like, even if you look at Inter have had, they're so good at doing this one thing, man. They're so good at keeping the same system. Like, keep in mind, when Perisic was absolutely irreplaceable that one season as a left wing back, you couldn't think of someone that could fit Inter better. Di Marco comes in, and he's even better. Brozovic, the metronome, absolutely everything to them. Everything, the tempo, the breaking down of play, set pieces. Çalhanoğlu instead on a free. Mkhitaryan, he's gonna age, he's gonna dip, still there. Skriniar, when they lose Skriniar, it's over. Bring in Acerbi. When they lose Hakimi, bring in Dumfries. When they lose Lukaku, bring in Thuram. When they lose Dzeko, bring back Lukaku.
Yeah.
They always have a fucking solution. And the thing is, what confuses me is, the solution always seems short-term. But they always have a fucking short-term solution. They always have a short-term solution.
I mean, they've got one of the oldest squads in the league.
Yeah.
Definitely. But it doesn't matter because when you win, you become attractive. And when you're attractive, you
can bring in 27-year-old Thuram.
Your selection, your pool to scout from, to pick players from, becomes wider and quite, frankly, easier.
Exactly.
So these guys just wait for people, for players on expiring contracts or for their contracts to actually expire. Marotta goes in there with his whole scouting team and his bloody amazing sporting project and just takes them out, for bargain prices.
Now they'll bring in like Mane.
Yeah,
because that's what they do.
Because they're attractive. They can win the league and they can challenge for the Champions League.
One of the biggest, because United, they tend to overspend on Serie A players because they're a little bit daft. 40 million for Onana and they bring in Sommer for 6 million, for example. Inter, what a piece of business. But that's what they fucking do, man. Yeah. That's what they do. Okay, they lost Skriniar on a free. That was the only kind of dagger that they had, but otherwise flawless business by Inter. And I'm talking about the business a lot, but the coach Inzaghi, he has this system that we spoke about this in the last episode, a very unique system and not a system that many teams want to deploy. That is why he's not highly sought after from the Premier League, because it's not incredibly modern, positive. It's positive, but it's not modern football.
It's system-based with defensive fundamentals.
Exactly. You need to be able to pull that off. What you need is a disciplined professional team. And it actually helps his system that he has an old team. Because he has no young bucks trying to be the star, and he has no Leaos trying to do this and that and fuck the system. No Dybalas trying to fuck the system. Everyone is there for the system. What do you get when you bring in Thuram, 27 years old? Sometimes he's the motherfucker not passing. When you bring in a young guy, that's what happens.
It's true. And I can't think of the last time Inter brought on a young player. Think about
Aslani's
that. Aslani's always on the bench. He's not even young anymore. Aslani,
I guess he's mid-20s, no?
Aslani, let me just double check. He's in his 20s for sure, but I'm talking like a teenager,
Buchanan, I guess, so they don't really...
Like, you look at Milan, you look at Juve, they're bringing on youths, proper youths. I mean, Aslani's probably the youngest player they bring on. He's 22 years old. Bissek is young as well, but again, not young.
It's true. They're not Milan Futuro.
Yeah. There's a whole thing, man. When it comes to Inzaghi's system, it takes him a while to trust the player. Even Bissek was brought. He was ignored for the first season, pretty much. He's 24 years old, Bissek. He treats him like he's 18.
Literally.
That's the thing, yeah.
Literally.
Very old school when it comes to these things. Even the fact that if a player's on a yellow, he'll just sub him out immediately. He's got these old school fundamentals that I think make him a safer pick for Inter. Like, he's not going to be scouted by these modern teams, I think.
Yeah.
Unless he keeps doing well. I mean, the results speak for themselves. Modern or not modern, if this guy is winning season after season, he's going to get scouted.
He has 3 centre-backs that at times are 3 strikers.
Yeah.
And just
That's not modern, then I don't know what is. You see Bastoni whipping in crosses for Devray. Like.
yeah. There is Tifo who Tifo the page have a podcast and they do content. They do great tactical analysis, animation videos, and they have one on Simone Inzaghi. Go check it out because it tells you exactly the way that they play, a brilliant breakdown. Particularly, the most interesting thing is the three centre backs and how they maneuver. Because occasionally you have Bastoni whipping in crosses, then you have him getting to the end of crosses, and he's the left centre back, and he should be covering for Di Marco, but Di Marco's up there as a winger. So how does this team push forward so much without being left vulnerable on the counter? It's clockwork. It's amazing, and it's so good that it makes me worry the second Simone Inzaghi leaves and these players age a bit. I know I have a question about it and we'll get into it. This is like the preface to that discussion. What happens once Inzaghi leaves? 2 years pass and Acerbi's 39, for example, and these players start to age. Discuss. We'll get into it.
It depends on who they bring in for free.
Exactly.
But it's true. Their team, if you look at it in 5 years' time, will be completely different.
Yeah.
Interesting. Moving on to Lazio.
What a game this was.
This was a fantastic game. Lazio won, Atalanta won. Atalanta dominated possession this game. In fact, they had 61% and looked to extend their winning streak to 12 games. But of course, Lazio were too defensively organized and solid and actually managed to disrupt their rhythm. Now, I'm sure there was a lot of anxiety for Lazio fans going into this game, having lost 6-0
at home to
Inter. And in that game against Inter, 30 minutes into the game, they were still in it. They were playing well, Lazio. That's the thing. So they collapsed entirely in the space of the last 15 minutes of the first half and the second half entirely. So I think 30 minutes into this game, there was still a lot of anxiety for most Lazio fans.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave. Lazio did strike first in the 27th minute with a sharp counter-attack that was set up by Rovella with a lovely ball over the top. Dinked ball to Fisayo Dele Bashiru, who managed to finish very cleanly. What a goal by Dele Bashiru.
You are recording, eh? Sorry.
Of course.
Okay, just to make sure, because I'm not seeing a red light on it.
You can't just say that.
Sorry.
No problem. Yes.
Okay. There's typically a red dot on
Jesus Christ.
There. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Dele Bashiru with a great goal, of course, to open the scoring. Atalanta persisted and did manage to find a late equalizer in the 88th minute through Marco Brescianini. The ball was squared to him by Ademola Lookman after Zaniolo won the flick-on header to Lookman. This is another goal contribution for Zaniolo. Not direct. American lingo, they call it a hockey assist.
Yeah, but no, it did look like Atalanta were going to get back into it, as in they had multiple chances. I thought Provedel had a brilliant performance. And I thought Atalanta were unlucky for the most part of it. But what I think Lazio did really well in this game was they were halting Atalanta's rhythm very well. They were winning fouls really intelligently. They were knocking the ball out of play when they had to knock it out of play. They were running the clock. They were doing it. They were very disruptive, and they were doing it in a really professional way, holding the ball up, running the clock, and that is not only is it people could say that's a cheap way to win. It's almost cheating in a certain way, but it was extremely street smart, and what they were breaking was Atalanta's momentum, Atalanta's chance at a counter attack. Even where they were pressing and when they weren't pressing, they weren't over pressing too high up the field to let Atalanta go on one of their marauding attacks, for example. They were sitting back in those scenarios, and I think Baroni set his team up for this Atalanta game perfectly. I don't think there was more Lazio could have done in this game.
They took on the approach of a counter-attacking low-block team.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They focused on shutting down the central passing lanes, as you said, focusing on disrupting play, and just hitting with quick transitions to try to get in the spaces left behind Atalanta's very enthusiastic attack. In fact, Dele Bashiru's goal was literally like this.
Yeah.
When not counter-attacking, Lazio did struggle to retain possession and to create chances, and they only managed one shot on target besides their goal. While Atalanta, of course, pressed very heavily and deep into Lazio's half. Their crosses from the flanks were a recurring theme, but they lacked precision. Lazio were extremely wasteful as well, not to mention, bro.
In the first half.
In the first half.
Second half was all bloody
Yes,
Atalanta.
but you look at Castellanos in the first half had two big misses right after each other. The first one was worse than the second one. The second one was a great save. But then Dia, man, in the second half. Dia in the second half could have squared it to Castellanos, who would have had an empty net. 10 minutes after that, Lookman was in a similar position, not quite exactly the same, but squared it to Brescianini and 1-1. Boom, you could have been 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Had your... Dia hasn't been the same since malaria. It's true. Nothing to do with the malaria, but let's just use it as a timestamp. Post-malaria Dia hasn't been the same.
Shout out to, is it Lazio Lounge?
Yes.
Lazio Lounge, that they started, what's his name? The guy of Lazio
Oh, you put me on the spot. Vittorio.
I think so.
Vittorio's hilarious the way he opens up.
Hilarious intro to one of his episodes where he's like, as a Lazio fan, you become an expert about a lot of things. Today, I am an expert on malaria. He's been doing his research on malaria. How long until he... The fuck thing about malaria is, like, you went to Africa last year.
Yeah.
You can have malaria right now. You just don't know it yet. You'll get a devastating fever tomorrow.
Yeah, can't wait.
You'd have had malaria this entire
Hopefully
time.
I get it tonight. So I don't have to do the bloody murder mystery on fucking New Year's Eve.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
You dressing the part?
I have to.
Yeah,
yes.
nice.
Unfortunately. I'm a gangster. What am I? Well,
You are a gangster.
apparently my character is meant to hold the violin.
Bro, I'm a sex worker.
You're a sex
I'm
worker.
a vain male gigolo from the 20s.
Oh, so you can just come like this. You're already the part.
Okay.
Shauna has a lot of potential, but his decision making is awful.
Yes, I agree.
Awful.
I agree.
And he almost cost them a goal. He lost the ball stupidly in the final third. He doesn't look up at times. He's got good potential to be a good player.
Yeah.
But terrible decision making.
He's still young, though, Chow now.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a bright future.
And it's his first stint.
That's what you get. No, when you
Yes.
get a player from Salernitana. Where did they get him from? Was it Salernitana? Verona?
Verona or Salernitana? I think it was... No, he was at Salernitana. Yes. They got Muslim from Verona.
Exactly. That's what you get. No, the biggest learning curve is making the right decisions. But clearly he's a very able individual.
Absolutely.
And smart when it comes to how he beats players. He's very smart. Like, one thing I really notice about him is that he uses a player's momentum against him. So if he's charging from there, he'll feint there and then go the other way.
And he's really good at knocking the ball slightly ahead of him.
He's intelligent.
Yes.
It's just, I think, look up a little bit more. He's good at dribbling. He just needs to look up and pick out a pass, which, like, Leao is still working on.
He just needs a bit of polish, you know?
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Of course, we praised Rovella already. Shout out to Pellegrini for his clearance of the line on Lookman. Great performance by Hila. Of course, we talked about the closing those middle passages, the central lanes. Hila's so good.
He's incredible,
so good, man. And he's, remind me, was he at Real Madrid as a youth? I believe he was, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, you can see it, man. He's a great player.
And of course, with this late equalizer, Atalanta have extended their, not winning streak, but their undefeated streak. Their winning streak is over, but they're still on an undefeated streak. And I'm actually gonna look to count from here, from the Bologna game, where they had drawn to Bologna. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this is fun, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games in a row.
I'm so proud of you. Last time you only managed till 12.
40 games in a row without a loss in Serie A, obviously. Now there's going to be a halt for Atalanta, Inter, Milan and Juve, because there's the Supercoppa, bloody Supercoppa Arabia. So these 4 teams won't be playing this weekend, and then they'll play the next match day as normal, And then midway through that week, they'll play Matchday 19. And then they have 3 games sandwiched in 1 week. I'm like, how are we going to record? What do we do? They fuck us over completely.
How ridiculous.
Madonna. Play it midweek instantly.
4 teams won't be taking part in a match day.
And
because they're going to be playing a tournament in another country.
It's silly.
It is silly.
It's so silly.
I'll probably enjoy it watching it though.
Enjoy watching it. Conceição's debut.
Conceição's debut. And Milan are going to win it, bro.
So we win. Anyways.
The Nigerian takeover this game. Vintage Serie A. They're always Nigerians in and about the league,
Yes.
These Osimhen's and Obafemi Martins back in the day.
Obafemi, I think.
Obafemi?
I always just
Obafemi, I think it is. We might have been wrong.
We knew, pinging for goal hinging. Like we used to say so many things wrong as kids, and we just
just went with it. Yes, Martins. Let's call him Martins. So
yes,
this game, of course, we saw Dele Bashiru and Lookman heavily involved in both goals.
And Atalanta have 38 wins in 113 Serie A matches against Lazio. They drew 43 and lost 32. That is a joint record for their most victories against a single opponent. They also have 38 wins against Bologna. So Bologna and Lazio are their favourite opponents. Their recent encounters have been well matched, with 3 wins each and 3 draws in their last 9 meetings.
Damn.
Very good.
So I think we can move on to Udinese, right? Unless there's anything you want to add.
Nah.
Now shout out Brescianini, by the way, who's back to his goal scoring ways since Matchday 1, I believe, or Matchday 2. He had scored a brace early on, and then Grima picked him up for 100 credits on Fantacalcio.
Excellent. Well done, Grima. Congrats.
So yes, Udinese 2, Torino 2.
They threw it away, this one, Udinese.
They did, and I would have hated to be in Torino's box defending.
Oh, man.
Defending. You look at massive Ture, massive Luka, Vanya, Milinkovic. So you're sandwiched between Milinkovic, Savic, Luka and Ture, man. They make Bijol look small.
Hey.
Yeah. Now, Udinese did take the lead through Ture, who converted a cross with an interesting volley.
Not an own goal, guys. Not an own goal.
Yeah. Luka doubled Udinese's lead in the second half, calmly finishing a well-worked move, and then Shea Adams managed to pull up one back for Torino in the 53rd minute, despite Udinese defending like absolute maniacs and throwing their bodies in the way. It was tough for him to get that shot in, and he managed to get it through the gap. And then, of course, Ricci managed to equalize in the 64th minute after Shea Adams did set him up very intelligently. And nice to see Ricci wearing the captain's armband as well. It was between him and Vanya. And they're maybe trying to charm him.
Trying to keep him. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see Torino fighting from behind and getting 2 goals over there. They've really, really been struggling when it comes to grabbing goals this season. Just look at their last game. They didn't manage to score against Bologna. Before that, only 1 goal against Empoli. Before that, a 0-0 draw. Before that, a 1-0 loss, 1-1 draw, 2-0 loss, 1-0 loss, 1-0 loss, 1-0 win. They've really been struggling to get goals, which is interesting because the whole thing was that they're moving away from pragmatic football and getting a manager that's going to help them attack and attack. I think Vanoli is a good manager. I don't think the squad is a good fit for how he wants to play football. I think Torino are a team that have to be balanced. They have to be pragmatic. With these players, they don't have enough flair and strength and superhuman qualities to allow them to play the system. Like Venezia, for example, they have players like Buzio, players like Oristano, and guys that can charge and carry the ball forward, so on and so forth, which is good for that system and press off the ball. But for Torino, I don't think it's a perfect fit. Mind you, Venezia have that team to do it in Serie B against Serie B opponents. In Serie A with Torino, it's tough.
I'm just not sure if that approach suits the player's skill sets best.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, because Shea Adams is a very intelligent player. So having a bit more of a detailed attacking approach could actually benefit Shea Adams because he strikes me as a very intelligent player.
He is. And he's
same
good on
with
the
Sanabria.
press.
Sanabria is a very intelligent player. Ricci is very intelligent. Vlasic, I feel like, is kind of fits that mold that you're talking about, but just hasn't been doing very well this season.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Vlasic is great, otherwise he just hasn't been having a great season. You mentioned Sanabria. I think Udinese had seen a stat that they're the team against which he just hasn't managed to score against yet in 9 games. They're his bogey team, Sanabria. I think it's Udinese and Inter that he fails to score against.
Fair enough. Very tough defenses to crack.
One of them is understandable.
Of course, Torino struggled against Udinese's crosses, while Udinese struggled against Torino's vertical passes, of course.
Yeah.
So Lucca got some backlash on social media because he posted a picture of him celebrating the second goal with a song called Tip Tap playing in the background, which is an Italian rap song which references the mafia and it references smoking weed and everything, which, to be honest, like don't most young footballers listen to rap music. I don't get why all the comments were like, you're not setting a good example. How
that's what you're doing. You're smoking weed and you're in the mafia.
Come on, dude.
It's a song.
That's fine.
Relax.
And then some people were saying as well, you're putting up this post like we won the game when in reality we drew. He did his job. What else do you want him to do?
You should see what Mike Manyan posts. After a win against Real Madrid,
that was hilarious.
It's like a Tinder. You're swiping through a Tinder profile, man. It's all about him.
He's the main character, man.
Yes.
It's his life, and we're all living in it. We're all extras.
Exactly.
Yes. Sanchez came on in the 80th minute for Udinese. He also started against Inter in the Coppa. He's slowly finding his rhythm. Granted, he only had 3 touches in this game, but I think we'll be seeing more of him, and that's very exciting to see. Potentially Thuvan and Sanchez flanking Lucca. That sounds great.
Lucca needs intelligent players around him, and he needs players that he could actually feed when he has his back towards goal as well. Torino are surprisingly in 11th place.
But they had a strong start to the season, man.
They had a they have 5 wins, 5 draws, and 8 losses. Minus 5 goal difference, only 19 goals scored and 24 conceded, so they don't score many, but they don't concede that many either. But look at this when it comes to the table, man. They're in 11th place on 20 points. There's only 2 points separating them from 16th placed Parma, and only 4 points separating them from 17th placed Lecce. So Torino, if these small teams just get a couple more wins while Torino are still sleeping, we could be looking at Torino in a relegation battle, and I think it will happen. I think Torino will be battling relegation this season. They did a good job to fight from behind, but I look at Torino play and they give me nothing. I prefer them under Juric. They don't give me anything.
Of course, Juric is a better manager than Vanoli. In every way, even when it comes to simply Serie A experience, the way he organizes his team. Of course, Vanoli, they took a punt on him, right? A young manager who has Serie B experience with Venezia. Mm-hmm. But we'll see how this develops. But I am also unimpressed by Torino, to be honest. They did very well this game to get back into it, and I was surprised because I thought Udinese would win, to be honest with you, when I saw them take when I saw them score the second goal. But they fought, they remained in it, and Shea Adams, to be honest, they're lucky to have him right now because he's really stepping up in Duvan's absence.
Absolutely, man. And now they have a few tough games. Torino coming up. Well, now they play Parma, and I genuinely, in a situation that I think Parma can get the better of them. And then they play Juve, and then they play Fiorentina, and then Cagliari, and then Atalanta. So they have many a tough game coming up, and this Parma game is a 6-pointer, for example. Don't get it twisted because they're in 11th. That is a relegation 6-pointer.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
Napoli beat Venezia 1-0 in a tight contest. They really struggled to get this win, and it could have easily ended in a draw. It was secured by Raspadori's second half goal. He did very well to take that. The match saw Napoli, of course, dominating possession and creating numerous chances, but struggling to break down Venezia's defense, as well as to beat that absolute demon in goal in Stankovic, who is the goalkeeper of the week, if we have that stat. Him and De Gea had a very good game as well.
But Stankovic was
incredible this game.
Really good. And even just what we spoke about Turati, He has the opposite problem, Stankovic, because he's tough in his box, man. He's a young guy to command his area like that. Like, even he has such a strong punch away, for example.
He does.
He comes out to collect the ball. He's screaming at his defenders. How old is Stankovic?
He must be in his early 20s.
Probably. Filip Stankovic, born in 2002. That makes him 22 years old.
Yeah, there we go. Very young.
Yeah,
man.
on loan at Venezia from Inter.
Yeah, because he's Stankovic's son, of course, so he's
Exactly.
owned by Inter.
Yeah, last season he was out on loan at Sampdoria. The season before he was out on loan at Volendam, who are a team from the Netherlands. And he's represented Serbia's under 21, so he's building his way up over there.
He saved Lukaku's penalty in the 36th minute after Jay Itzes became the first ever Indonesian player to give away a penalty in Serie A.
With a handball.
With a handball, yes. What a save that was. Very strong hand.
Incredible save. Lukaku doesn't miss penalties.
Yeah, it's true he doesn't. He's a very good penalty taker. But he had some crazy saves this game.
You know, the last time Venezia won against Napoli was
When?
1942. I believe that is just before Italy joined the war, man.
Damn. I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Also, just a stat on Lukaku, since we mentioned him, he's been involved in 8 goals in his last 7 Serie A matches against newly promoted sides. Against newly promoted sides, he has 6 goals and 2 assists. He does it against the small teams. So.
But that's it. He's a bit of a flat track bully, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, it's a great thing if your qualities can shine consistently against lesser opponents, because that's just as you have big game players, you need people to just make these wins easier for you.
Sure.
You know, absolutely. It's a very good look for Conte bringing on Raspadori for Anguissa, raising eyebrows, and then Raspadori scoring the winner.
Great finish by Raspadori as well, by the way.
Very, very good, and very happy for him because he hasn't really had a position since he left Sassuolo. We were discussing this a little bit off camera, sorry. He used to play kind of as a second striker. Or kind of behind the striker, but very close to Scamacca.
Even false 9 he used to play before Scamacca.
But nowadays he's been, of course, at Napoli, featuring in either a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3, which doesn't really cater for the mold of Raspadori. So he's kind of he's in the wrong system. But nice to see him scoring over here. Maybe he can play a role off the bench.
Yeah, and I think he's the polar opposite of what Lukaku is.
Yes, literally. So
if they want an in-between, they have Simeone. If they want something on the completely other end of the spectrum, they have Raspadori. He can be effective. You guys know I don't rate Raspadori that much. But in the right system, he was great at Sassuolo, for example. And last year, when Napoli were struggling, and they were playing Raspadori up front, he was putting in a shift. He scored a free kick against Milan, I remember, in the 2-2 draw, when Milan were winning 2-0. I was watching that at 4 o'clock in the morning in Australia.
But the thing is, even in this Conte system, Conte needs a big body up top to hold up play. In fact, that's why he was frothing for Lukaku. He can't do that with Raspadori. I guess if you look at his maybe 3-5-2 that he had at the Euros back in the day, if you remember, with Graziano, Pelle and Giaccherini.
Yes.
And they're there.
But there was Giaccherini.
Giaccherini, I think, was playing on the left, if I'm not mistaken.
Giaccherini in 2012, I think.
In the Euros, though, but he was playing, I think it was Giaccherini on the left, Pelle and Eder up front, something like that. But he could do something similar, I guess, with Raspadori and Lukaku. Yeah. Maybe, but then again, Simeone becomes your only option off the bench. Like this, he has 2 offensive solutions.
Yeah. You know what's a green flag about Raspadori? Coach always loves him.
That's true.
Spalletti always liked him, and he, even though he had Osimhen, he was keeping him like engaged, and he was playing him. Same with Conte. And in between, where they had that season with 3 different managers, they had Mazzarri, the guy that joined from Saudi, the initial one, I forgot his name.
Garcia,
Rudy Garcia, and the Slovenia coach. He was the assistant manager of Calzona. Nice. Yes, look at this, bro. Huh? We
making me sweat here.
We think we lost it, but we'll bring her right back.
Who's the Uruguayan who played for Milan called? Next time we're doing a football quiz and Matthew got stuck here.
The Uruguayan?
Uruguayan.
Why are you doing this to me right now?
Yeah.
Laxalt.
Yes, there we go.
Boom.
Footy tiki taka toe.
Yes.
So
Another 1-0 win for another 1-0 win
now
for
look at
Napoli.
this. Okay, Napoli grinded it out. They dominated 70% possession. They relied on a Meret great save on a 1v1 in the first half.
Brilliant
to
save
keep
by
them in
Meret.
it. Great save by Meret. And you know they won, but it was ugly. Can they win the league? Blah blah blah. 3 points for them. 3 points for Inter, who beat Cagliari 3-0. Doesn't matter how you do it. 3 points.
It doesn't.
3 points.
But I would bet on Inter winning more games.
Yes, because
They know
do
how
it
to do it more.
Yes, of
No,
course.
they know how to do it more convincingly. And there were occasions in this game where I thought Venezia was going to score. Caviglia turned into David Beckham, I think, in this game.
This season in general.
Literally, I thought he was a number 6. What is he, man?
He's got the makings of an 8, huh?
Literally 100%.
I love his long range shots and his ball
Bro, he has
playing,
balls. He has balls. He was so constricted at Juve. And now at Venezia, he's like, this is me as a player. He's come out at Venezia. And he's been super. And he really tested Meret in this game from distance, set pieces.
Nicolucci Coglione.
Nicolucci Coglione. And Venezia, again, they showed us growth in this game. They were solid defensively as well.
Again, not a typical Di Francesco side.
No.
So impressed by them. It's true.
But Napoli remain in the picture.
They do. They
Level
do.
on points with
They live
Atalanta.
to fight another day.
Exactly.
So speaking of the Thuram dynasty and Thuram being great, we're moving on to another game where A. Thuram was very good. Also one of Lillian's sperm.
Yes.
Doing very well once again in the same week. And we had the Esposito week. This is the Thuram week.
Exactly.
Juventus 2, Fiorentina 2. And Kefren Thuram actually put Juve ahead twice. But Fiorentina managed to respond through an equalizer from Moise Keane, who did not griddy this time.
No.
He did not celebrate. He showed respect to the team that raised him and molded him to the man he is today. And then a late strike from Sotil after another Cambiaso mistake late on.
Yep.
Cambiaso losing the ball out on the
Slipping.
left and the ball making its way to Sotil, who volleyed it top bins. Ferociously. Very, very ferociously.
And Sotil has been very good in the past few weeks. More trust from the coach, and he's been starting quite consistently. He's been showing us good performances.
He has.
We know that he often has decent spells, so now it's about seeing longevity. But it's important to have an option like him off the bench.
He reminds me of Orsolini before Orsolini became consistent.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of player.
Completely.
This match saw Juve doing Juve things where they push and push and push and take the lead, and then just concede too much pressure.
Yep.
Too much pressure. And then this is exactly what they did. And they made the same mistake twice, and it cost them 3 points over here. And in fact, they started the game showing great offensive intent. Juve, they looked very positive at first. They were able to exploit Fiorentina's defensive setup with Thuram's late marauding runs, causing many problems, and Fiorentina's defense getting confused. Who's going to mark this guy? Who's, Comuzzo at one point
frustrating.
rushed out to press Locatelli, Comuzzo, leaving a gap. Thuram advanced with Cataldi behind him, but not quite getting him. Dodo and Ranieri leaving a massive hole and having a lapse.
Comuzzo gap. The right centre back wasn't there. Dodo was out on the right. Ranieri was playing the role of a left centre back, cutting out the passing lane to Vlahovic, as he should.
And they didn't close down. They just left the
Dodo,
gap.
that to me, okay, so firstly, I'm sure Comuzzo was instructed to press Locatelli,
Which
in
is
that
bizarre
scenario,
to me.
Which is crazy.
Why is the centre back rushing just at the halfway line?
Because that could be on Comuzzo, because he left the gap over there. But just by understanding that bizarre move was probably an instruction over there, what you need to see is Cataldi slipping in over there and covering for him.
Yes.
But that didn't happen. In that case, the right back needs to press. So that if he leaves an option available, it's not an option with a clear goal scoring.
And it's not the 9 who's being put through,
Exactly.
I mean, had Ranieri press him, you're leaving Vlahovic open in front of the keeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they made Kefrem look like, I don't know who, bombing through the middle like that. Yeah, time, space.
Yeah.
They Fiorentina handed Juve that goal, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Just as Juve handed them the equalizer late on. Yes, I think if you really look at this game, I think a draw is well deserved. Vlahovic extremely unlucky because De Gea pulled off a magnificent save on him with a strong hand again. This episode should be called Strong Hands, bro.
Hey.
But it doesn't match the cover. No. Yeah. So we'll see what we decide on. Probably something wildly inappropriate.
Vlahovic made me laugh. He did the orthodox sign of the cross.
Wait, the orthodox sign of the cross?
I believe. Oh God, I'm going to generalize here. But I've mixed with a lot of Serbians in catering, and I always noticed when something happens, they do the sign of the cross, and the Maltese, which are Catholic, we do the sign of the cross. Up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
The Serbians, I've always seen them do up, down, right, left. And when I had asked one particular Serb, why are you doing the sign of the cross? I asked, because we're Orthodox and that's how we do the sign of the cross. I'm like, sure, okay, that is my understanding. Religion lessons with man.
Fun fact, I did not even
notice.
But
he made me love Vlahovic.
Doing the sign of the cross.
Did the sign of the cross after a brilliant De Gea save.
This game was all about these gestures, right? You see Moise Kean at one point shielding the ball. The referee whistles. He gets up and he just flexes his muscles. Yeah, you know, Moise Kean is a new man. You know, to think about it, last season he had 0 goals all season, and goals disallowed for marginal offsides, post hit, the unluckiest moments you can even imagine. This season, I believe, he's on 15 goals, isn't he, in all competitions?
I don't know if 15. He's definitely on, I think, 11 in Serie A, if I'm not
11
mistaken.
In Serie A? Okay, you check the Serie A goals. I'll check the Europe.
On Transfer Market, it'll tell you.
Well, it's a good thing I'm on SofaScore.
Moise Kean is on 11 in Serie A, yes. 11 goals, 2 assists.
11 in Serie A. He's on 1 in the Coppa. And... and 1 in the Conference League. Okay.
So he's on 13.
Yeah, 13 goals. But
13 goals. That's very good.
Very
considering
good,
he didn't score a single goal last season. Not only that,
exactly.
But he is the starting striker for Fiorentina. Brand new look Fiorentina. And not only do you need someone that's going to get you goals over there, but you need a mature, complete player to be able to come in. And you know how hard it is to join a team like Fiorentina, which is brand new. Look how much Dovbyk has been struggling at Roma, and he's still slowly finding his way. Now, of course, he's new to the league, but Moise Kean didn't get out of playing time last year either, and he played at Everton and he played at PSG, so he had lost a bit of that feel for Italian football. But he's come in, he's linking well with his opponents, he has a few assists as well, he's playing in multiple competitions, he is uncontested their guy up front.
Absolutely.
And they've made so many bad calls with their strikers since Vlahovic. Piontek,
Cabral.
Cabral,
had a tough time.
Jovic. They were playing Beltran as a 9 before. Beltran comes on as attacking midfielder. He looked really good as well. He looked better than Goodmanson when he came on.
Goodmanson, what's going on? He's on a down period.
I don't think he's fully there, to be honest, man. A lot of disruption. Initially, of course, there was the court case. And they were always sure that this guy is a rapist, pretty much. Which obviously, like in that case, that does weigh on his mind, and it was consuming the majority of his life. And then there's the integration with the new team, and then there was the injury that he faced, and then the court case resurfaced. And it's just been super disruptive for him.
Yes.
Do I feel bad for him is another question, and then...
We don't know if we should feel bad for him.
But I don't. I don't know. I just... I just don't. I just don't.
Fucking respect.
He was there for a reason, right? It's not one person that accused him, but whatever. But it's let's talk football. It's disruptive for him, and he hasn't quite found his flow. The second he found his flow, he picked up an injury. I think second half of the season it'll be a different story.
Probably. He is sensational when it comes to his footballing ability, of course. He would form a great partnership with Moise Kean. I feel like we haven't even seen them together much.
No. Yet. And this game he started, but we didn't really see much.
No, he was pretty invisible, to be honest with you. Just one more thing. Thuram. played the violin after his second goal.
saw.
Shades of Gilardino.
Yes. Respect.
Yeah, respect to him. So should we go for Juventus or Juventus?
Juventus. I like Thiago Motta. Huh?
Thiago Motta is very good. You've ended up drawing
11 draws. I have to see. You're gonna keep going. You've ended up drawing is great.
Thank you, bro. So
that's their 11th draw of the season.
and as I mentioned in the last episode, they're still in the title race, no?
They're still, well, look.
Because all it takes is a good streak, man. Draws aren't as harmful as losses. And you see how Bologna sprung up after collecting a few draws at the beginning of the season. Granted, it wasn't 11.
We said that Juve might go on and they can technically win the game, win the league undefeated.
Yeah.
They're not going to do any of those things. They are going to lose. They're going to lose games. And they can lose games against Atalanta. They can lose games against Inter. They can lose games against Milan. Those three teams in particular, I think they can beat them. Napoli maybe even as well. And they're going to fight for Champions League. And they're going to struggle to make Champions League. Because 11 draws isn't it, bro.
No,
it's not it. You see teams win the league and they would have had 5 draws, 4 losses.
But for
11 draws is crazy, man.
As the
That's a team
basis,
that doesn't know how to win.
again, just to clarify our stance for those listening for the first time, 11 draws in the first season of a manager is a good foundation. It's not a good thing for this season per se, but when it comes to the long run, the fundamentals, the basis of this team, the core is they don't lose, which is a fantastic core to build on.
Yes.
The fact that Thiago Motta arrived and losing isn't an option in the league already is massive for them, you know.
And
the thing is they need a few more tweaks, a bit more depth, a bit more. They need to learn to be less rigid, and Motta needs to learn, for example, not to hold on to a 1-0 lead. You know.
Yeah.
Some things need to be ironed out, but I think the foundation, the basis for you is good.
For sure. And you cannot, like, my pet peeve, and people that have listened to us before know this, is the comparisons of what Juve were doing under Allegri last season to Motta's first season. Firstly, Allegri, it was his 3rd season in a row, and before that he had spent around 5-6 seasons at Juve, versus this is Motta's first season at Juventus. Allegri knew his squad through and through because there was little investment, and he got the players that he wanted. He had gotten Di Maria, I remember he got all the players he wanted. This is Motta's first season with a brand new team where not even the players have ever played together before, man. There's Conceição, there's Kefren Turam, there's
Coop
Douglas
Miners,
Luiz,
Douglas
there's
Luiz.
Kalulu, Coop, Di Gregorio, Cabal, all of these new guys who have never played together ever before. So you can't draw comparison to that. It's a good foundation. Juve will do great things with Motta. It's just this year, it's the bridge. It's for them to
Transition
get to
year.
greatness.
Yes,
the transition
absolutely.
year. Vlahovic, who has scored 44 goals in 98 games for Fiorentina, has played 5 matches against the Viola in the competition without managing to score. He struggles against Fiorentina, his old side, and also against Monza. They are the 2 teams which he has played 5 times and never scored.
Oh, how funny that is.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'd even know these things.
They would.
Yeah. You
They
think
would.
Vlahovic knows he's never scored against Monza?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. He'd know, bro. He'd know.
There are some dudes. There was one Premier League player infamous for like not even knowing who they were going to play the week after or something like that. Remember that guy? He wasn't interested in football at all.
But
who was it? Who was it, man? It was hilarious.
There's one at Arsenal right now. He's a defender, Ben White, I think, where it's like to him football is just a job. Like he doesn't hang around for team functions and stuff. But I can't remember the name of the player you're referring to.
If any of you know, drop the name in the comments.
Yes, sir.
We can move on to the heart of this episode, bro.
Can I give you just an update time-wise? Just
Yes,
so
please.
you know, we're on 1 hour 17 minutes.
Okay. Not bad. So, Milan 1, Roma 1.
Yes.
This is a game that saw Fonseca dismissed twice. Once off the pitch and once out of the club, right? So Reinders scored early for Milan, but Roma provided a response through a lovely bit of improvisation from Dovbyk with a flick on and a beautiful volley from Dybala. Both teams struggled to break each other down after the goals, I think it's fair to say. Milan pressed for a winner, but ultimately were unable to break Roma's defence. And as the game went on, I feel like Milan got a little bit tired. Chukwueze went off injured. Not many attacking options for Milan right now, depth-wise. Pulisic and Leao unavailable as well. Kind of limited.
It's a decimated Milan team. I think, the only one that knew Milan weren't going to win.
I thought with Fonseca's job on the line, Milan would win 3-0. That's how it usually goes.
It's true. But no, I think, to be fair to Milan, decimated team. But I think, considering how they were playing, they could have done much, much, much better. It was the same combination to get Milan 1 goal in a game. It was Fofana to Reindeers. To Reindeers, rather.
Reindeers.
To Reindeers. And the scoring of the Reindeers.
He's scoring the Reindeers with a good goal.
Another great combination from those two. Another good shift by Terracciano in midfield. I thought he grew a third testicle in this game, Terracciano, which was really good to see.
We'll never see that again.
It's true.
Not his testicle, him playing in midfield, probably. Because I highly doubt Conceição is coming in and he's going to deploy Terracciano.
At least he has a case study of it. Roma had 2 clear-cut chances, or 3 clear-cut chances, which were all beautiful moves. Beautiful moves. But otherwise, they had a hard time unlocking Milan. And Milan, I would say, dictated the game.
I agree, yes.
But just disappointed, obviously, no Leao, no Pulisic.
At one point, Benacer came on and man, he's really struggling. I can't believe how many times we have to watch Benacer coming on and being rusty, because we know what the refined version of Benacer looks like, and that's amazing. But we only got it for the shortest peak possible.
Yeah.
So now he gives you a few games where he's rusty, and it's kind of brutal to watch.
Yeah.
He finds his groove, gives you 3 good games, and relapses with his injury, out for another 3 months, and rinse and repeat. It's getting a bit tiring with Benacer.
It is tiring.
He looked like he didn't know where he was going at times, bro.
He had some good moves, considering that he had been out for so long, and before that he had only played a bit because he was out for so long. Keep in mind, he's essentially had 1.5 seasons completely disrupted, if not 2 seasons, bro. He only played a little bit last year at the beginning.
It's true.
But Milan were decimated. Roma, I would say it's a good result for them. I think they missed some chances. Manyan had a couple of
good saves,
beautiful saves.
Yeah.
But otherwise, quite an even affair. I would like to not talk about the game so much and jump straight to the dismissal of Fonseca, because what we heard going into the game was
like an hour before the game started.
Like an hour before the game. You tell me Fonseca's job is on the line. And I'm like, okay, so I guess he has to win this game. Fonseca gets dismissed, and fucking an hour after the game, it is announced that Conceição has signed a contract. That here we go. Fabrizio Romano, Conceição to Milan, done. We're playing Catan. Which goes to show, and obviously we got to find out later on as well, that it doesn't matter whether or not Fonseca would have won, drawn or lost. He was out and Conceição was coming in.
So apparently it's been said that Cardinale is the guy who issued the firing orders for Fonseca. Had I known that, I would have drawn him, not Furlani in the cover. But it's just the way for me, bro, that these things are handled. So there are many points I would like to make. First of all, the fact that Fonseca was a work in progress. There were, in my opinion, clear improvements happening in the team. He was literally experimenting with the team and still figuring things out. You know, he had problems with players that he handled well, in my opinion. I think that, granted, okay, the position in the league isn't ideal and it's not really too standard, and against the smaller teams he didn't quite show it, right? But when in his career has he given you proof that he can do that in the league at this level consistently? What were you expecting? Don't you expect, if you're going to bring in a coach who doesn't scream success, who was dominant in the Ukrainian league, don't you think you need to give him a bit of time to understand? Didn't you think about this? You're going to sack him? It doesn't make any sense, right? And the manner that they sack him. So they sack him for a manager that literally, if you go back to this podcast on the day Fonseca was hired, we're literally here discussing, we're sat here, me and Matthew, 2 Maltese fucking casuals. Like, we're not involved in this fucking field at all. And we're here saying, I think they should have gone for Conte or Conceição because those guys are... And they went for Fonseca, and then later on sacked him halfway through the season to bring in Conceição, who was available from the get-go. Lack of direction, lack of planning, lack of organization, lack of thought, right? And then there's the manner in which they do it. They make Fonseca give a pre-match interview as the news is leaked from the club that he's received an ultimatum. At the end of the game, in the press conference after he's dismissed, the ultimatum is mentioned to him, and he says that he hasn't been spoken to by the club, and he's speaking about the direction of the club and what the result of the draw against Roma means to Milan at this stage in the season, right? Having no idea that he's going to be sacked. At midnight, he leaves Milanello. There are a few fans waiting outside. He's in the car, and he announces that he's been sacked himself to the fans without any public post, without any statement from the club.
It's a joke, the way that
What
Milan
the hell?
handle these situations, and this is an ownership problem. It's a management problem, and they've handled many dismissals terribly. They handled Jovic terribly. They handled Maldini terribly, the worst one probably.
That's by far
And
the
now
worst one.
this Fonseca situation. Look, to me, how do I feel about the dismissal of Fonseca and the hiring of Conceição? So initially we wanted Conceição.
Yes.
It's no secret we're big fans of Conceição. He's the most decorated manager at Porto, as a profile, as a man, and just as a game style, so on and so forth. He was our favourite one. He's who we wanted at Milan. Ideally, Milan would have gotten him in summer. They'd have gotten him in summer, and they would have gone the entire season, Conceição, on a long contract. But what happened? They got Fonseca, made us believe in Fonseca. Fonseca didn't do great, let's be honest. He has 2 historic wins for Milan, a historic win against Inter and a historic win against Real Madrid. But to me, a team that is wildly inconsistent, a team that after 17 games, I believe, injuries or not, should have killed this Roma team. Like everyone else has been killing this Roma team. I don't think Fonseca was good enough, but I don't think it was his fault.
Oh no.
It was the fault of the people that appointed him.
Exactly.
I have nothing against Fonseca. He did the best that he could with his skill set, with his vision. Actually, I think he did in many ways better than I expected him to do, because
He did better than I expected.
Leao
for
and
sure.
Theo, for example, he really fucking put them in their place. And he really brought the best out of Reinders. And he did good things in that way.
And he beat, again, as you mentioned, Inter and Real Madrid. So obviously he was doing something right, with this team. The problem is in Italian football, ideally you take someone who knows the league, someone who's got a bit of experience under his belt, because the Italian league is tough, as Fonseca literally said himself. He was still adapting to this man-for-man system.
Yes, but and then that's where there's a part of me that doesn't blame the management. Because the way I see it in a weird way is they're correcting the mistake of hiring him in the first place. Now, forget that they initially, after sacking Fonseca, they contacted Sarri. Sarri said, no, you're not getting me on a 6-month contract. And then they gave a 1-year, 6-month contract to Conceição. So I really don't understand what happened over there. But to me, they fixed the earlier mistake that they made. Fonseca, bro, I don't give a fuck if Milan beat Real Madrid, Inter, and all of these top guys, and then they draw against the shit teams.
Yes,
because that is. It's not an organized team. It's not a team that knows how to win.
Juve should
It's not
sack
a
Motta.
No, but no.
Why not?
No, because Motta showed us in the league what he can do. Fonseca didn't. Fonseca didn't show us what he can do.
But he showed
Fonseca was at Roma, struggling to make Europe, struggling to make Europa League.
Okay. So because of the previous Bologna.
Because we saw what Motta could do at Bologna, he got them Champions League. Obviously, there's a clear vision that is going to take time to implement. And he's young and he's up and coming. They know there's the element of risk with Motta. Fonseca, what with his appointment was weird because he never excelled in Serie A. He only excelled in the Ukrainian league. What Milan did now by bringing in Conceição, let's focus less on Fonseca now. He's gone. fuck it, handled terribly by the team. I feel bad for him. He's a great guy.
Yes,
and I think he did an okay job, but not good enough.
Even his no, not good enough. I mean, not good enough to ensure his safety, but I think not bad enough to warrant the sack. In my opinion, I think that if they've made their bed, they have to sleep in it. You can't expect Fonseca to come in and just pick up from where Pioli left off and challenge for the league, especially with the tools you've given him. But anyway,
I don't mind.
I don't look. I'm not that bothered because Conceição was my original preference.
Exactly.
So now at least we know that Milan are getting a coach of a very high level, a very, very high level.
And just some things to say about him as a coach.
Please.
He is the most decorated manager in Porto's history. He has 10. I read from somewhere that he has 10, and I read from somewhere that he has 11 trophies for Porto.
I can check quickly.
He has the club record of 91 points in a single season for Porto, and it's an 18-team league. So getting 91 points in a 20-team league is already a lot, let alone in an 18-team league. He brought them league titles after a drought of like 5 years without winning the league, where they were in financial turmoil, and they had a transfer ban, and he won them the league that season.
Yeah,
that he arrived,
and that was actually told to us by Taco.
Yes, by Lewis.
Yes, who was really impressed by his win percentages as well, and the fact that Porto were in such disarray, and with using the reserves and the youths, he managed to win the league in quite a convincing manner as well. He is highly decorated as a player and as a coach. Do you know he used to play for Lazio?
He used to play for Lazio.
He's a league winner with Lazio.
He
scored, bro.
In the Euros, the 2000 Euros, Portugal reached the semi-finals thanks to him. Because in the thanks to his contribution, the third and final match of the group stage, he scored a hat-trick against defending champions Germany to win them the game 3-0.
Damn.
I think it was 3-0. But he scored the three of their 3 goals. So, yeah. But what should we expect from Conceição? Conceição is similar to Fonseca in the sense that if you don't fit the system, you're on the bench. So we expect to see the same cold cut. Leao, you're not playing well, you're on the bench. Theo, you're not playing well, you're on the bench. He doesn't mind doing that. Formations, they're quite similar as well. He typically plays a 4-4-2 system in the league at Porto, and then in the Champions League, where he reached the quarterfinals twice, if not 3 times, and he had lost to Inter. He's shifted to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. A 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. He's done both of them.
And even a 4-3-2-1, of course, but that mold.
That mold. But at Milan, obviously, I expect him to play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. I don't think Milan can play a 4-4-2 with the profile of strikers that they have. They can barely play a 4-3-3 with the profile of strikers that they have. Difference is he focuses on defense. He plays not a defensive game. Balanced, bit more pragmatic.
Yes.
Struggles against the low block, as Lewis mentioned to us, so Milan can still struggle in the same vein. But also he encourages his players to make horizontal runs, which I really like, to get in behind the defense, which can help. He doesn't focus too much on tiki-taka and this bullshit, to put it bluntly. If he feels like there's a quicker avenue where Maignan gives a long ball to Tammy Abraham, Magnan's going to give a long ball to Tammy Abraham. He likes having a various set of weapons, but firstly, defense. And defense is the best form of attack.
In fact, yes, the front 3, their job is they're the first line of press, right?
Yeah.
And he focuses on recovery of the ball in counter-pressing situations to prevent attacks from the opposition. Not to mention, in his systems, the wingers usually drop deep to support the fullbacks to kind of prevent, of course, overlapping attacks.
Yeah.
This makes me wonder. I mean, Leao, we saw him defending a little bit better with Fonseca, but he would need to improve that further under Conceição. And it's a shame Chukwueze has just done his hamstring, because he puts in quite a defensive shift, doesn't he? He would be good in this system, maybe. We'll see. He's got an injury crisis at the moment, but it's not a serious one. most players should be back within the space of a month.
It's not a long-term one. I think it's quite a devastating one because
It's not long-term, at least.
But Pulisic and Leao out. It's like, all right, why don't you chop his wiener off while you're at it? Like, you join Milan, but without Pulisic and Leao. But they'll be back soon. And his first test is Juve in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, so we'll see. Against his son. Which is crazy. Yeah, and his son's doing a pretty good job there as well. So these are 3 player roles that Conceição values in his system, right? He loves a target striker, which Milan don't have. January is coming. Imagine Lorenzo Lucca.
Yes.
It would be perfect. You know?
So he likes a target striker.
Because right now Milan have Tammy Abraham, who's a bit of a mess in front of goal. He's like a girl who wakes up with a full face of makeup. Morata isn't quite a target striker, is he? And then you have Camarda.
The profile of striker that he looks for isn't what Fonseca and Pioli looked for. It's not Giroud, it's not Tammy, it's not Morata. It's a bit more of a finisher, a target man.
To convert crosses, literally. Yes, hold up play, of course, but to convert crosses as well.
There's Lucca, but then there's also, he's quite similar to Amorim in the sense that he likes a Gyökeres, he likes a Højlund, he likes a bit of a powerhouse up front, a bit of a complete striker. So not Zirkzee in that sense. Lucca kind of fits it. He's more well-rounded. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy tries to use Okafor up front, because Okafor is great on the press, and he's a decent finisher. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries Okafor there, or gives more minutes to Camarda. But I think Milan have to what they have to do, and this is why I hope Conceição stays on for next season as well, is get a fucking good striker. None of this back towards goal, as in it works and whatever, but get Milan a striker that can score goals and watch them get way more dangerous. Because you don't get someone to play with their back towards goal to feed Leao, who his worst part of his game is his finishing and his shooting. Get someone that he can square it to and finish. Get someone who could cross it to and he can finish. So get a top striker. Get a top right back. And then whatever other midfielder fits your system.
Yeah.
Whatever other midfielder, whether it's an attacking midfielder, you won't get an attacking midfielder. Whether it's a metronome that you won't get a metronome. Reinders and Fofana are great in the double pivot. I wouldn't hate if they had either a number 6 with them or a number 10 that isn't Pulisic, and Pulisic can play out wide. A midfielder, not makeshift players everywhere. Everyone's makeshift.
Even a ball winner would be nice, because you can play Fofana to his strengths. Yes, he usually relies on a creative playmaker as well, and that's a role that I think Reinders would be very good at. If he's relieved from his duties at double pivot. And also versatile fullbacks, and I wouldn't, with high work rates. So I wonder what he'll think about Emerson Royal, if he'll play Calabria instead of him.
If he's the man I think he is, Conceição, then he's not going to start Emerson Royal.
We'll see. Maybe he impresses him.
Yeah.
This is before we move on from Milan. Football Kush on Twitter posted like Fonseca's impact and a few things, a list of things he did, and I think it's not, it would be nice to read it out to kind of honor him, right?
Yeah.
So he got more out of Reinders than any of the coaches did in the past, which is true. He stabilized the centre backs amidst a crisis by benching a key centre back and rejuvenating Malik Chow and building his confidence back. He had guts to use youth players like Jimenez, who is thriving. He essentially launched Jimenez and Camarda. Liberali as well. He forced Leao to play defensively, which is true. I've never seen Leao try back as much as he has recently. And he had the guts to drop star players when he didn't see enough from them. In Theo and Leao. So I think in his time here, Fonseca, he didn't stop working and giving his all to figure out how to solve the problem. He wasn't given a fair amount of time, I think, to learn the pure weaknesses of the team and how to counter them. He was still playing with the team. He was still learning the team. But nowadays, of course, football is a cutthroat industry completely, and you don't have the chance or the option to work in serenity. And I think from the get-go, Fonseca was a dead man walking, and his position was quite often undermined in the circus of a management that Milan have right now. You look at as well the fact that Ibrahimovic says, I make the rules over here, and he walks into the dressing room without Fonseca's permission and gives a team talk. And then they, what's your role over here? The players listen to me, like undermining the coach, you know. I think I will have respect for Fonseca. I have more respect for Fonseca now than I did before he was brought in.
For sure. And he's done good things for the team. I just think that it's no coincidence that they sacked him on the 29th of December, midway point of the season. Clearly what the management see is that they are way further than from the top 4 than they would like, which is a fact, man. Milan are down in 8th place. Whether or not he did the right things, clearly struggled for results. Of course, they could have decided to show more faith in him. They got him in the first place. They thought he was the perfect man for the project. Clearly, your project sucks.
They expected to be 3rd or 4th with Fonseca, apparently, these guys.
This is the first time Milan have ever brought in a decorated manager. So I'm hopeful that Conceição can come in, learn in the first 5 games and leave his fucking mark on Milan, because every single fucking manager that Milan brought in the past has never been decorated. This is the first one, and that I respect that they brought him in. He was the 3rd choice because first choice Fonseca, second choice Sarri, and then 3rd choice is Conceição, but he's here.
Absolutely, yes. Welcome.
Let's move because we have 20 minutes left to have questions.
Como 2, Lecce 0. Como were the better side this game, pretty much all game. Falcone saved Paz's penalty in the 31st minute after Baschirotto's reckless lunge. Cutrone was unlucky not to score in the first half, but Paz did open the scoring in the second half with a lovely finish from outside the box, placing it into the bottom corner. I believe leaving the keeper rooted to the spot, if I remember correctly. But it was a very good
offside goal?
No, Paz's goal.
Yes, correct.
Lecce suffered, however, they did remain in it until the 80th minute when Cutrone doubled Como's lead, and that was it. That was pretty much the game. Koulibaly, I think, had a good game for Lecce, but Como just played Lecce out of the park here. It was actually quite an astute tactical battle between Giampaolo and Fabregas.
It was, and I like the way Como played in this game. I think Como, individually, they're very strong, and the missed penalty in the beginning, I think they definitely deserve the win over here. They missed a penalty in the beginning. They had a goal disallowed of Cutrone and in the beginning as well. They had a number of chances. But brilliant goal by Paz, a little celebration saying, I'm here. Like, obviously, stop talking about Inter, stop talking about this and that, I'm here. And then Cutrone, who's just evolved so much, man, as a player. He's literally way more complete than I had ever seen him before.
Yeah. And he's a leader, man.
He really is a leader. He's the captain, of course, of Como. And this is only Como's 3rd win, I believe, of the season. So it's a huge win for them. Lecce still doing decently under Giampaolo. Obviously, this is a blip.
Their 4th win.
Their 4th win. I would have expected this to be a draw, considering how Como have struggled for results, but Giampaolo can't win them all, can he?
Exactly. And here Como looked by far the better team. Yeah, but respect the Lecce were in until the 80th.
Yes.
And on counters they did look creative at times.
And historically they have the advantage over Como. They're unbeaten in each of their last 5 league matches against Como. 2 wins and 3 draws between Serie B and Serie C. And Como's last win against the Giallorossi in the league competition was back on the 23rd December of 1994. So this is, I believe, Como's first win against Lecce in Serie A.
Nice. Well, they're doing well. Huh? We have many of these stats now because of Monza and Como.
Yeah,
they've never been in Serie A
literally.
Before. So they replaced all the southern teams that we enjoyed. Bastards. Bologna 2, Verona 3. So Bologna came out like rabid dogs this game, bro. They kept passing the ball viciously, like moving the ball around, high energy, high movement, lots of intent. They pressed, they moved the ball around, and 21-year-old breakout star Dominguez, first name Benjamin, opened the scoring in the 20th minute with a lovely goal. Verona remained compact, however, and they did capitalize on Lukumi's clumsy pass leading to Tengsted setting up Sarr, who got his third goal of the season. Verona did go on to score again right before halftime. This time it was them hitting on the break and Tengsted finishing with a vintage finish for him. So Verona went into halftime with a 2-1 lead. And then in the 51st minute, Duda, who had been provoking Bologna and their players all game, managed to provoke Pobega somehow. They were next to each other. Duda said something to Pobega. Pobega walked away from him, turned around, ran up to him again and elbowed him in the face. Very stupid in the age of VAR. Of course, he was sent off immediately. And there was a VAR review, but it wasn't even referred to the monitor. Pobega was issued his marching orders. Dominguez did equalize in the 58th minute for Verona,
for Bologna. He scored a rebound from a free kick.
Yes, after Odegaard hit the post. And Bologna actually went for a late push to try to get a winner, but it was very unfortunate for them that Castro ended up chesting the ball into his own net.
Yeah, very unlucky.
Yeah,
very
to
unlucky.
Give Verona the victory.
I think Bologna over pushed at the end. I think they could have made peace with a draw when they were a man down. I know that you have to beat Verona. But now they lost at home to Verona. I think a draw would have been a fair result. But I think Verona did very well to, firstly, to have a player like Duda that has the capacity of winning these, like picking on the right guys. He picked on Pobega, who gets a rush of blood to the head every 7 minutes. So he did a good job. He took the elbow to the face, got the guy sent off, and then obviously Bologna did well to get back into the game, but Verona's persistence and their persistence in finding the winner did them wonders, because obviously they got all 3 points. I think a major talking point over here was the lineup that Bologna decided to opt for as well, because there was no Orsolini, there was no Ndoye.
Ndoye just came back from injury, and I believe
even Orsolini.
So it's kind of, even Ferguson came back from an ACL and is being reintegrated slowly. So but I think it's
Dominguez, Fabian, Odegaard behind Castro. It's still a very talented three behind the striker.
Very, very talented. And they played well, Bologna. They came out pushing. The thing is, Verona were just very street smart, man. And the moment they had a lapse, they took advantage. And that's what you get when you have a player like Tengsted. Tengsted is an expert finisher. You put him in the box and you give him space, he will score.
Yeah.
He's a better finisher than Tammy Abraham will ever be.
That's true, yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Completely.
He is that type of player, Tengsted. He's got limitations to his game, but his finishing is by far his strong suit. And
goal and an assist for Tengsted.
And you pair him up with someone like Sarr, who will do all the running for him, and Serdar, who's that physical presence. I think that Verona played a very smart game of football here and remained in it until the end, and actually took home 3 points against all odds.
And it's a huge win for them that propels them to 15th place on 18 points. That's level on points with Como, and it's level on points with Parma as well, when they were one of the bottom 3 teams. And they haven't sacked Zanetti. They've kept Zanetti, and he just got them this huge win. Do they know something we don't about Zanetti? Do they have faith in Zanetti, unlike us? Let's see. Who do they play next after this? I'm just going to open up their fixture list so that we can have a look.
They've got Udinese next.
I've got Udinese next.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then Napoli.
Then Napoli, Lazio, then Venezia, Monza, then Atalanta, Milan, Fiorentina, Juve. Jesus,
Madonna. How doesn't everyone get relegated, man?
Okay, bro, let's jump to questions.
Yes, we have around 15 minutes to do.
No problem. So I think we should just start off with those lineup questions.
Yes, I love them, fun. Bro. More of these, guys.
Yeah, guys, we love these lineup ones. And one of them came from, let me just see quickly. Yes, here, from Tyson, our patron. He says, can you construct an all-time worst Serie A winning 11? But like players to have been starters with winning teams. So I found this very, very difficult to do, because obviously...
I didn't, man. I like one try, nailed it.
Really?
Really.
Okay, let's see. So yes, these are the worst ever Scudetto winners. Goalkeeper?
I have Abbiati.
Really? I put I was gonna put Abbiati. I thought about Abbiati. I thought about Julio Cesar. Then I thought about Dida.
Cesar was great.
But
man.
Julio Cesar was criticized during the treble season. He made many mistakes.
He also made phenomenal saves,
well,
bro,
yes,
in
I
the
mean-
Champions League and stuff like that.
I mean, they all did. They won the league. All of
I
them.
thought Handanovic, because he wasn't insane when Inter won
He
the league, he
was-
was already
on the
aging.
decline.
He
yes.
was on the decline. He was Standanovic at that point.
I put Dida, man.
You put Dida.
I have so many memories of
Dida's
Dida
better
making
than
mistakes.
Abbiati, bro. Abbiati was ass a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
Abbiati was fucking rubbish, wasn't he?
Who's your back? Who's your back for?
So on the right, it's undisputed Dumfries.
Okay. Tell me your back for.
Dumfries, Kivu, Bonucci, Mario Rui. Bonucci for his the later season when he started to dip after.
Mine's
he
a bit more
went
modern
back
than
from
yours,
Milan.
huh?
Who do you have?
Calabria,
Okay,
Rahmani,
okay,
Delict, Mario Rui.
okay. Fair enough with Delict. Because he hasn't really proven himself as a player, has he, since...
No,
His
I
big
mean,
money
and
signing.
Calabria, probably the worst right back to...
Calabria is a better football player than Dumfries. Dumfries is a better athlete.
But for inter-system,
That's
Dumfries
it.
is majorly
Yes,
important, right?
but yes, of course he's important because his job is to carry the ball and to cross wildly and to dominate aerially. But when you look at Dumfries,
But
his
he has
strong
something
suits-
he's good at, Dumfries.
But so does Calabria. Calabria, if you had to put Calabria in Dumfries' body, he would be great,
Yes.
of course, because his footballing brain and what he can do with his feet is better than what Dumfries can do, in my opinion. Even defensively, even the ability to tackle, for example, and just awareness of the game, I think Calabria is better than Dumfries. Dumfries, for me, is an athlete. He's the definition of a modern day football system player.
Well, they play in different systems, to be fair. But
yeah.
but I do prefer Dumfries in that sense. I think if Calabria has a task and Dumfries has a task, I think Dumfries carries out his task more effectively than Calabria, because Calabria simply hasn't, bro, in the last 2 years. And even in the league winning season, he was good, but definitely to me, if I could pick the worst right back to ever win the league, I'd go Calabria.
I wouldn't do my boy like that.
You went 4-3-3.
I went 4-3-3.
Who's your midfield three?
4-3-3 with 3 target men, by the way. My
Same.
midfield 3, Montari, Felipe Melo, Sturaro.
I went Bentancur,
Fair enough.
Nocerino.
Come on, he was great, bro.
He was good.
He was great.
good. But it's hilarious, like Nocerino.
Yeah. He was great that one season.
Literally, it was good for one season.
And at Palermo.
And then I have Bernardeschi. I put him in midfield. Put Bernard in midfield.
Thank you. I needed someone for the front 3. Because I have someone here who I actually really like.
I really like Nocerino, to be clear.
Uh-huh.
But he makes it for sure.
So,
Because we initially, bro, let's be real, we said past 10 years.
yes, bro, but I was really struggling, so I did what I wanted to do. Up front, Matri, Zaza, Bernardeschi.
Matri, Zaza, Lorente. Lorente of Juve.
Nice. Okay, well, they're similar. They're fair enough, I think.
Yeah.
It was quite difficult to do, in my opinion, because obviously each of these players that we mentioned over here was key to the system. You know,
absolutely.
of course.
Absolutely.
I take nothing away from the, of course, tongue-in-cheek segment over here.
Yeah, and I also, I had, instead of one of Zaza or Llorente, because I thought I was treating light, I was going to put Salamakers.
But again...
The right wing. Oh, yes, but...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You're not going to compare him to Leao, who was pivotal, or Tonali, or Giroud, you know?
Absolutely. So we have another 11 that we had to construct. And this came from Adam Kauser on Instagram, who says, what are your starting 11s from the bottom 10 Serie A teams? And he says you have to put 1 from each team. And that 1 from each team really messed with me, bro. Especially in midfield. Because I wanted to put a certain player. And it feels incomplete without him. But anyway, let's start. So you went, what formation do you go for?
4-3-3 again.
Same, okay. So I went
Goalkeeper.
Vanya. Okay, but we don't have Richie.
It's fine.
Okay.
There are other players.
It's true, there are other players, but Richie is, I think, better than all,
but
all
this
the others.
is with
yeah.
all of them. Like, I was
Exactly.
initially going to put Falco on there, but I'm like, where's Dorgu going to go?
Exactly. So Vanya's in goal for both of us. Okay, right back.
You want to do back four and I say my back four?
Dorgu, Luperto, Ismaili, Kyriakopoulos.
Nice. I went Dorgu, Ismaili, Carboni, Zortea.
Nice.
Fire, eh?
Yeah, really good. I much prefer Luperto to Carboni, simply because Carboni, of course, is still younger. But Luperto, I think, he's so like vintage when it comes to the way he plays. He's a no-nonsense centre-back, and you feel very safe with him. Ismaili has to be there. And then Kyriakopoulos is just having a really good season.
He's been starting every game in Serie A for a long time now. He's no joke. I think Zortea, though.
Zortea has been good.
Delicious.
And he's been good for a while.
Yeah.
Friendrup, Paz, Nicolucci.
Oh, you went Paz midfield. Interesting. Yes. Okay. I went Buzio, Belayan, Friendrup.
Buzio, Belayan, very good. I mean, good players. Buzio,
Caviglia. I think I'd replace him with Caviglia. Of course. Caviglia, Belayan, Friendrup.
Nice. I have my front three. Dybala. It's hilarious how Dybala's in the team. Hey. Tengstedt, Dennis Mann.
Dybala, Paz, Boni.
Ooh, nice. Let us know whose team is better.
Interesting, huh?
It is.
Interesting.
It is.
I think mine wins.
You think so? I was about to tell you that mine destroys you. But let us know, guys. Just to remind you, our teams, mine is Vanya, Dorgu, Luperto, Ismaili, Kyriakopoulos, Friendrup, Paz, Nicolucci, Dybala, Mann, Tengstedt. Yours?
Vanya, Dorgu, Ismaili, Carboni, Zortea, Caviglia, Belayan, Friendrup, Dybala, Paz, Boni.
Let us know, guys.
Yes.
2 phenomenal teams that would totally win the Premier League. Now, let's look at the questions from our patrons and we'll see what we have time to do. Just one thing I want to mention before. RK on Instagram sent us a DM saying Bernardeschi's got so much work done to his face, he's starting to look like Miley Cyrus.
Literally, bro, but like he went to America. He's 30 years old, man.
He's 30 years old and full of filler. He looks like a pancake.
Yeah. No hate.
He looks like an ageless lizard.
It's true. No hate to like people that get work down their face and stuff. Yeah. But there's a lot of work done on his face.
It's a lot of work, bro. He looks like Ken.
What the fuck is he doing?
Luca Argento says, will Conceição sell Juve secrets to Conceição? Hopefully.
Yes.
Dikwan Grishti, Dorgu, next club.
We discussed this.
I said Atalanta's a good fit for him.
Atalanta or Napoli?
Napoli would be a great fit for him because there's actually a vacancy in that role. Will Milan make Europe this year? Yes.
What's Europe?
Conference
onwards.
Conference
onwards. Champions League.
I say yes.
With Conceição, 4th place.
Let's go. You believe so?
With Conceição, I believe.
Nice, let's do it.
He's the guy I wanted.
This is back in the banter era days.
Conceição, when he was 18 years old, he lost his father in a motorcycle accident. And then, like, nearly a year after, he also lost his mother. He had to become superbly independent at the age of 18. And he became an incredible footballer. He's a man that his son is an incredible footballer. He's the most decorated manager in Porto's history. He prioritizes defense, steadying the ship. He has a firm fucking hand. And he's fucking nuts, bro. He's like a little pit bull as well. Like, I love him. He's gonna steer the ship in the right direction. He's the man that should have been there from the start.
Agreed. Hopefully he gets the time he needs, not the rest of the season, and then he's sacked, because that would be absolutely disastrous. Alan's hot take. If it is true that Milan approached Sarri first, then went for Conceição after Sarri's rejection, then it is also true that we have no sporting strategy or vision of the future.
Yes.
And then we are just looking at numbers, wages, recognizable names, contract length, etc. The little I've got to know about Conceição makes him and Sarri appear as somewhat opposites.
Yes and no.
Offensive fluid Sarri versus defensive rigid Conceição. But it's not rigid, huh?
Not defensive rigid.
It's balanced.
Yes. Balanced. He prioritizes steadying the ship.
But he is right.
Yes. He is right. I wouldn't call them opposites. I think Fonseca, Sarri and Conceição. I think Fonseca and Sarri are definitely the most similar out of the lot. I think, in fact, if Milan would have brought in Sarri, I'd be like, what the fuck?
I would have disliked, I think, the signing
You
of
just
Sarri,
brought in the same profile, like what they did when they got rid of Pioli, brought in Fonseca, then they got rid of Fonseca and brought in Sarri. I'd be like, you're just hiring the same guy in a different font. What are you doing? But Conceição, I like that he's different. But the fact that they went for Sarri first, Alan's right.
I like that Conceição adapts to his opponent, something that Sarri doesn't do. So that's a pro. But yes, Alan, when it comes to the direction of the club, disaster.
At least the good thing happened that Conceição is now at Milan.
Yes. And he said, counter-argument is what Alan said himself. Conceição can be seen as somewhat as a continuation of Fonseca, but with better leadership qualities. Fair enough, yes.
Very similar.
And a more refined Fonseca, essentially. Fonseca 2.0, the updated version, I guess. Can we call it that?
No,
but I'm way more positive about this Conceição signing.
Absolutely.
It just sucks it has to happen now, right? Football.
Because now the pressure is on instantly. He needs to deliver results in 5 games, and if he doesn't, God knows, man.
But yeah, I think he'll thrive in this environment, right? Mm-hmm. If not, back to the orphanage with you. Grima asked us to recommend transfers for each club. I'm not sure we have time to do that. Maybe we'll do it next episode.
Let's do it next episode.
Football Talent says CDK is the best under 23 player in Serie A.
Yes.
He's the best under 23 player in Serie A. Yes. Top
Attacking.
5 player in Serie A at the moment. Top 5 player.
Yes.
Top 5 player.
Yes, bro.
Probably.
Who are your top 5 players in Serie A? Go.
I mean, you look at Gvicha Kvaratskhelia, you look at Leao, you look at...
Right now.
Okay, Marcus Thuram, you look at Reinders, you look at Barella, you look at Çalhanoğlu, who's a very good player, you look at Lookman's a very good player, am I missing anyone obvious? You look at...
I don't know. I would say top 5 right now.
And this is excluding the defensive players.
Yes.
There are many amazing.
Let's talk offensive and whatever. Top 5 players in the league right now. I'm going to put CDK in there already. CDK, Lookman, Reinders, CDK, Lookman, Reinders, Thuram, Retegui.
CDK, Lookman, Reinders, Thuram, Retegui. Fair enough. Yes, for sure. CDK is in great form this season, and it's not a wild claim. Definitely not. Shout out to Times of Malta for this headline. Sergio Conceição. Wait, no, that was it. Okay, so shout out to Times of Malta for this headline. Watch AC Milan sack coach Paulo Fonseca to hand job to Sergio Conceição. Fantastic.
That's what he gets to do. They're basically saying, for those of you that didn't understand, they've sacked Fonseca to hand the job Conceição.
Yes.
So now he gets to do that.
Fortunately, there's been a happy ending.
Enjoy, Portuguese guys.
Mr. Buboon on Instagram says Moise Kean is a top 3 player in Serie A. I disagree with that.
No. Yeah. He's a top... At the moment, he's a top 3 striker because he's the 3rd top scorer.
Yes.
So sure.
So player not quite.
Player, no.
He says he's almost better than 2020, 2022 Vlahovic. And I agree because he's almost better. That Vlahovic was really good.
The Vlahovic of Fiorentina? I disagree.
You think Keane is better than the Vlahovic of Fiorentina?
No, I think Vlahovic is better.
Of course, yes. That's what he's saying. He's almost better.
Almost better
than Vlahovic. Yes, not quite better. He also has another hot take. He says Fiorentina had a top 3 transfer window down to the coach in Serie A, and that I agree with.
Yes. Completely,
I agree with completely. As well.
It could have, if the players didn't perform, it would have been laughable because they signed rejects from everywhere.
Yeah.
But the key part over there, and he mentioned it, is the coach.
Exactly.
Because they got the coach to make it work.
Yes. Giancarlo Choya says, in about 3 to 4 years, Inter will fall off. All their best players are mostly late 20s to early 30s. Unless they start spending, we won't see them compete with the best past 2029. As we discussed earlier in this episode, I do think that if they continue winning, then the cycle can survive. They should invest in young talent because that's looking a little bit stale at the moment. However, as we mentioned, it's difficult for youth to thrive in the Inzaghi system because he's so demanding. However, the fact is that they are favourites to win the Serie A at the moment, season in, season out, and they can also push for the Champions League. So these guys will have pull, and they can attract top players with expiring contracts, like the Mane rumour, for example.
Yeah. Agreed. I think they are, like I said earlier, the king of short-term solutions, and sometimes if you keep making the right short-term solutions, it's a long-term solution.
Yeah.
In a weird way. I think the thing that will break Inter is a change in coach. Because they're so structurally, clearly they have this identity. Even under Conte, they had the same shape. Of course, different ambitions, but the same shape. I think their 3-man midfield and their 3-man defense, any wrong change over there can really throw Inter off. But they have such a good way of plugging in and playing in the right players that I don't think they're gonna fall off in the next few years. But a change in coach can certainly make them fall off.
Absolutely, yeah. That would be it. Losing Inzaghi would be detrimental for them. We also got a request from Alejandro on Instagram, said please include January transfer rumours. Now I have a list here of some rumours. Fiorentina to Fiorentina, I think that would be an interesting move. We've also heard Fazzini to Lazio.
Yes.
Fazzini to Lazio would be super for Lazio.
Very good.
And Fiorentina could fill in the gap, by the way, for Fiorentina that Bove left.
It's true.
A very hard-working player, Fiorentina, who is surprisingly not utilised that much by Conte. I thought he would be right up his alley, but I guess the demons that he's got in midfield already leave no room for Fiorentina.
Fazzini, if brought in by Lazio, of course, then it's going to be that role that Dia plays in right now, or even out wide, where Zaccagni operates. And where Isaacson operates.
Fazzini is almost a libero in the middle. He can do everything.
An attacking midfielder.
Calabria and Tomori to Juve are two rumours that are interesting. I think Juve are just trying to build Milan's Scudetto winning defence.
Literally.
Kalulu, think about it. Calabria, Kalulu, Tomori, and then they need Teo. So yeah, with Cambiaso there to give the ball away in the last second. I think Calabria to Juve could work. It could be one of those.
It could be a De Sciglio move, like.
I think it would go better than the Sciglio did. And Tomori to Juve, again, I think that because they have Motta as manager, whose defensive principles are so... They seem to transcend well to players, man. They seem to understand it. I think that do well. Maldini to Atalanta is also a rumour that's been floating. Would be interesting. Paz to Inter, they've been flirting. And also, if you remember Karel Zviderski from Hellas Verona, he's linked with a move back to Hellas Verona, but Monza, Genoa and Torino are all interested. I think all those teams could use a striker like Karel Zviderski.
Thank you.
No, I'm not blessing you, bro. Because we're past those days. You don't need my blessing, you're not going to die.
It's true.
Antonio Silva's a centre-back, rumoured to be going to Juventus. Boyo Koulibaly of Parma is rumoured to be going to Fiorentina. Yeah. These are some rumours, just a few. There are obviously way more.
Do you think there's a world where Milan in January go for Jonathan David because he is literally the perfect striker for Conceição?
Look, man, I've never fucking seen this Jonathan David do anything, bro, to be honest with you. Every time I watch that, I'm like, well, this is the guy. Like, yeah, I know his numbers are well, but I don't know enough about him. Do you like him? Do you know much?
I like Jonathan David.
What type of striker? What does he do?
He's quite a thick, muscly, athletic striker who is strong, fast, and has a good finish on him.
Okay. Compare him to someone.
Poacher.
A poacher. Like Keane, kind of.
Yeah, similar to Keane, but build-wise...
That technical ability as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I really compare his physique to Endrick of Real Madrid. Kind of stocky, built, strong,
small, no?
But quite... how tall is he?
Because Endrick, I'm imagining, is like 5'6", 5'7".
David. In feet, please, because... 5'10".
5'10", Jonathan David.
Not small. Is your height?
Yeah, a bit shorter than me.
Okay.
I'm 5'10 and a half.
He's 81 kilos. He's meaty.
Yeah, that's quite heavy, yeah? Okay, interesting. We'll see. I don't know. Milan could... I think Zirkzee will go to Juve as well. And I think Milan will try to push for Lucca, because I saw some whispers already. And it's like they're making my dream come true, like they did with Boateng back in the day. That was so random.
That was crazy.
I loved Ghana, the Ghana football team, and I watched them. And all of a sudden, Milan are in for Kevin Prince Boateng. It was a dream come true.
It was done to go to Genoa.
Yeah. Ben on Twitter, before we go, because I like Ben, says, who's going down? Do you stick with your predictions from the start of the season? Be nice. He's a Hellas Verona fan.
What the heck were my predictions?
I don't remember.
Not from the start. Not from the start. We made one recently. From the start, I said Empoli are getting relegated. I don't think they'll be anywhere near the discussion of relegation. I think relegation... Had I said Venezia, Cagliari, Lecce?
Mine was, my original prediction was Venezia, Empoli and Verona. I think Verona will go down, sorry Ben. I think Venezia will go down, even though they're doing quite well. And
I think it'll... Venezia, Lecce, Verona. Sorry, bro.
Venezia, Lecce, Verona. I don't know Lecce.
I think Lecce will go down. They've only scored 11 goals this season. Lecce.
But that's because they've only started playing since Giampaolo, right?
Fair enough.
I don't know, man. Can I abstain?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's abstain.
Let's
think
abstain.
about it
We don't know,
as well. We don't know.
next week we'll bring a crystal ball.
Yeah. Let's.
What do you think, Ben? Do you think he'll survive?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Let's call it an episode, so that we can start gearing up for
That's
New
the
Year's
title
Eve.
you should go for. An episode.
An episode. Amazing. Brilliant. What an episode, bro.
Well done.
Thank you, guys.
Peace out. Remember to smash that like button, and if you've made it this far, comment your favorite, Jake or Matt.
Exactly.
Right, if you've made it this far in the video.
If you made it this far, you get to see that. No one else did. Or this. Crazy. See you guys next week. Love you all.
Thank you, and Happy New Year.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.